What is up, everyone, and welcome to the Game Week 12 deadline stream. How are you guys doing? Are you guys ready for the Game Week 12 deadline? It's a bit of a weird one. It's a bit of a weird deadline because it's kind of in the middle of the week. So I think a lot of people might not even kind of get to know in terms of it is the deadline. So I hope you are joining the stream, or I hope that you are aware that deadline is a few hours away. Of course, we still have a decent amount of time. I mean, we have about I think roughly about 3 hours to go for the deadline. So I think it's gonna be a long one. I think it's gonna be a very interesting one. There's so much to talk. There's so much to discuss. There are so many problems that are there in every team that I've seen in my team as well. I've gone for a couple of punts, like others may not work. The only security that I personally have is that I have the wildcard available, so I can hide behind the wildcard and kind of whitewash whatever I've done this week. But I think it's absolutely fine. I think it's going to be very, very interesting. The blank, the blank of Man City and Arsenal, I think it's good in a way because it kind of freshen things up in terms of FPL. But of course, from a footballing perspective, I think we would have loved to see what happens with Arsenal and Man City, considering that they're the top two teams in the Premier League at the moment. So I think yeah, it's kind of work both ways because we would have definitely seen them or at least wanted to see their performance. But this is what we have, and we'll kind of work towards it. So welcome to the stream again. If you have any questions or whatever doubts, questions, any concerns with my team, with your team, with someone else's team, I mean, whatever you have, feel free to add that in the chat, in the comments, and we'll take them one by one. As I said, it's still a long time to go. So if you get any news, any information that maybe I'm missing, because there are a lot of times where I also miss certain information. So if you get anything, please feel free to add that in the chat as well. Hello Nigel, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. I hope you're ready. You've sent your team, the first one to do so. So we'll quickly look at it. So it's Ward, Trippier, Shah, Neko Williams, Trent. Looks like a very very good defense. Trippier, Shah. I like the fact that there is a double up on Newcastle rather than having I think Pope. Yeah, so you don't have Pope here. So I think that's a very interesting one. Neko Williams, not ideal, but I generally think that he will play or he will start concerning. And this is kind of regards to whatever's happening with Aurier. I don't think so. He'll be fit to start, and I think there's a high chance that Neko Williams is okay for this week. Now, whether he does anything or he gives us any points at all, that's a different conversation because it's against Brighton. Brighton are a really, really good attacking team. So let's not kind of mix those conversations between. But I think it's a pretty solid transfer this week. Trent is again, a lot of people are not really they aren't really very confident in terms of Trent starting this week. Now there are rumors as well that he might start in a sort of a winger role as what we saw against Man City. Again, jumping to that conclusion might be very very early because yes, he can still play as a winger. I mean, there are a couple of positions where he can play in. But the first question is whether he's gonna start the game against West Ham. West Ham is probably not gonna be that straightforward game, though it's at home for Liverpool's Anfield, so I think that's a sort of a comfort zone. But I think Trent is definitely a risk. I mean, he's a great option to go for because he has massive attacking upside. I mean, we've all seen how great an attacking defender he can be, but he doesn't really know how to defend. I mean, this is what we've seen this season at least. He cannot defend, right? So let's see. I mean, Trossard and then Pascal Gross again, a very interesting differential sort of a double up because most of the people would be going for Trossard when they are looking at Brighton assets. So I think that's also a very interesting one. Andres Pereira, Son, Gordon. In terms of your forwards, you have Watkins, then Cancelo, Jesus, Haaland on your bench. So you've made one transfer, which is Trossard for Madison, which is absolutely fine. You have one more transfer left, and you have 1.4 in the bank. Shall I go with Welbeck or Dunk or Webster with Neko Williams on the bench using? I mean, there is also a chance where you could just play Neko Williams, maybe go with a little bit more attacking or somebody with a little bit more attacking impetus, maybe change somebody if you're okay changing Gabriel Jesus. Because I don't think so there'll be a lot of money that you will have invested in Gabriel Jesus considering is again around the 8 million mark. So I think you can take out Gabriel Jesus and then kind of you probably would have about 9.4 million in the bank. Based on that, you can maybe go for a Firmino, maybe go for a Nunes. You have options like Callum Wilson as well. So I think those are better options to kind of go for rather than probably taking out Neko Williams because again, as you said, Welbeck is also an option. So that's also somebody that you can kind of target. But I think maybe if you plan to go a bit safer, target somebody like a Mitrovic or a Wilson. If you are okay taking a bit of a punt, then maybe somebody from Darwin Nunes and Firmino. It's not really something very very. I mean, there's not a clear cut option between Firmino and Nunes, to be very honest, because I mean, it could go both ways, right? Firmino could start. We could end up seeing Darwin Nunes also starting. So it's very difficult to kind of pinpoint and say with 100% accuracy that this is the player that's going to start. The press conference also didn't give us any inclination in terms of who's going to start. So I think it's anybody's guess. Um, Hey Pratty, hello to you. Welcome to the stream. Nunes is wasteful. He was wasteful in the last game, but I know this is just a X vibes and I mean a very vibey kind of a transfer because I know that he hasn't been that great, but I just have a gut feeling about Nunes, and I mean, what's there to lose, right? I have the wildcard available next week, so I can easily erase whatever bad moves or bad decisions I've taken this week. So I think for a 1 week punt, I mean, I'm okay. I was anyways planning to get to a Mitrovic, so I don't want to target a Mitrovic this week. I understand the fixture is really good, and we possibly have to play the fixtures and try to target the maximum points that we can achieve in a week. But I think going for one of the Liverpool attackers, I think it's fine. I mean, considering that it's just a 1 week punt, I'm not too worried about it. I just want to have some fun. Just try to have some fun with this pick because anyways I'm wildcarding next week, so I think it should be okay. I could also go for any forward, even the 13 million plus. I mean, let's yeah, there isn't any, so that's that. I kept Shah on the bench last game week and lost 8 points. Yeah, I mean that would have hurt. I think last week was a week where a lot of people had a lot of points on the bench, and I have seen a lot of tweets. I've seen a lot of people posting the fact that they probably should have bench boosted and all that stuff. But again, that's all hindsight talking at the end of the day. Who's the top priority out of Foden, Saliba, Saka, Jesus, Martinelli? I think it really depends on what your strategy or how do you look at this. Of course, you can go for different options from these teams, but let's say if you have somebody like a Martinelli, for example, I don't think so. You will anyways have a lot of money invested in a Jesus, as I just mentioned, because he's the same price right now as he started the game with. Martinelli, somebody again depends on when you bought Martinelli and how much money have you invested in Martinelli. Because if you bought him at the very start, he will or you will have a lot of money invested in him. So if you sell him right now, you're probably going to lose out money because ultimately you might want him back in your team, right? Because considering the price point that he's at, considering that he's very very cheap, considering that he's playing for a premium team, he's playing like a premium asset. I think there's a lot of merit in holding Martinelli. So I think the top two priority out of these all options, I think it's very close between Foden and Saka, but I just feel, I mean, when I have a cover in Martinelli, I think I'm okay letting go of Saka. And because of that fact, I think Foden becomes very, very interesting because he's definitely the better option if you compare him to, let's say, a KDB, for example, maybe a Mahrez, maybe a Gundogan, whatever other options that we've had in the Man City midfield. Foden has been the best option to go for. His attacking stats have been really, really good. He's been scoring goals. He looks hungry. He looks like a great FPL option. There's not a lot of rotation as well in terms of Foden. So he's ticking all the boxes and he's in a great price point as well. So I think there's always a chance where you could, if Foden doesn't work out, if he gets injured, if he starts getting, benched, etc., you can easily move on to other options in that price point. So because of holding that, that sort of a pick in that price point and having that flexibility, I think Foden and Martinelli are really, really good options. I think they should be the priority, number one and number two picks. Saliba, Jesus, and Saka, I don't think so. They're high priority options. Considering that you already have a Martinelli, I think Saka is okay. Gabriel Jesus also, I still feel he's a good option, but there are options in that forward slot. So if not Jesus, you could go for some other options as well. You have Mitrovic, you have Kane. So there are options to kind of look towards. There could also be an option emerging in the Liverpool third attacker or the Liverpool striker option if we are clear in terms of which one to kind of go for. So I think that's what I think about these all these options. Planning on Liverpool assets for game week 13. I also plan to get some Liverpool assets. I mean, I'm probably going to retain Salah. Now, whether we do or whether we get in a Trent or a Robertson, because Jota is injured. Jota is injured until the World Cup ends. So I think he's missing the World Cup as well. So he's definitely out. Now we have options in Darwin Nunes. We have options uh, in Firmino as well. So that is, I think, where we'll probably have to go if we are looking at a Liverpool attacker because Luis Diaz is also out, right? So one of them could be an option for sure because, again, as I said, there are a lot of options in that price point in the third or the second striker slot, considering that most of us are anyways going to have Haaland in our teams. And let's see. I think it's going to be very interesting in terms of which way the community goes, which way managers tend to move. considering that now there could be options emerging, considering that Liverpool might not be the ignored team that they have been so far in the season. Think between Kane, Mitrovic, and Welbeck. Mitrovic is really good, great value, standout option in the Fulham attack. Is on penalties as well. He will be involved if Fulham are scoring or creating any sort of chances, attacking in any sense of imagination. I think Mitrovic is a really good option. Kane again. I've seen Kane's fixtures and I'm not very convinced. Though I'm not saying Kane is a bad pick. He has been in really really great form, and I think because of how Haaland has been playing, because of how certain options, let's say like a Martinelli, for example, of course, different price point, different position, but there are certain picks that we really expected a lot from. For example, Salah, because of what has been happening with Salah, because of what Haaland has been doing, because of the comparisons drawn, captaincy situations, and all of that. I think a lot of people have kind of ignored what's been happening with Kane. I think Kane could be a great pick still, but again, I mean, his fixtures are Man United, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Liverpool, then Leeds, Brentford. They're okay. They're not bad fixtures, but again, I can possibly get away with having somebody cheaper, maybe a Mitrovic, for example, and because Mitrovic has Villa, Leeds, Everton before he faces Man City in Game Week 15, so they're really really good fixtures. So I can get similar amount of points from Mitrovic as well because he has haul potential. We've seen that he can score goals, so I can maybe save that much money and invest that money maybe towards a Salah, maybe towards a different premium option, maybe upgrade a James to a Trent, right? That could be a difference between a James and a Trent, because considering that James is also out now, we are anyways looking for replacement. So I think that is where my head is going at the moment. Hello to you. How confident are you about Darwin starting? People think I mean, he is 50-50 to be very honest. I'm not going to sit here and, make false claims that I'm absolutely confident that he's going to start. I am not at all confident that he's going to start. It's just that I am hoping that he starts, and I really, really feel I have a gut feeling about him, and it's purely gut feel. It's nothing else. It's not looking at any data. It's not looking at any numbers or any XG models and all that stuff. Is just my gut saying that Darwin is looking like he could start. Firmino played majority minutes in the last game, considering that the turnaround time is very very less. And somebody like a Klopp, he really believes in sports science and he really believes in conditioning of the players and all that stuff. I think there is an opportunity for Darwin Nunes to start. He missed that chance, and he did. I mean, he was very very average. Of course, he will get chances because he is a chance monster. He will get those big chances. Now, whether he can look, keep his head up and look at the right pass, look at the right shot to kind of take, and how much does Klopp believe in it? Of course, that's a different conversation. But I just feel Darwin has a higher chance of starting in place of Firmino. I don't think so. It's going to be along with Firmino. A lot of people are saying that Darwin might shift towards the left because he's played that, or he's played in that position before. But I generally don't think Darwin works in that position. I mean, you're taking out the best player in that outlet or in that attack, in that number 9 role, who will give you something very very different from a Firmino, for example, from a Salah, for example, and you're then placing him on the left side of your attack, which that at least to me doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think I have a very strong feeling that he starts in place of Firmino and not in place of Carvalho. I think Carvalho definitely starts this one, and one of Nunes or Firmino will start. I'm banking on the fact that Darwin starts because of minutes he's gotten, because of the rest that they might give to Firmino and all that stuff. But again, I might be totally wrong at the end of the day. But this is just my understanding. I would I would just go this for Game Week 12. We'll be using wildcard after this. Between how many points did you score this week? So my score, I did post it on Instagram, but I'll just quickly tell you. I did end up scoring 55 points. Not very very happy with the score. I think I was on a 60 or something. If Man City would have kept a clean sheet, I think I would have been on a 60. But the rank was not really much of a difference because I think I hardly lost about 6 or 7,000 rank with the Salah haul. Considering that not a lot of people had Salah, so that haul didn't really disturb the rankings. But I think yeah, average week I was really really happy with the way it started because we or in terms of the rank, so right now I'm at 124, right? I didn't even remember my rank. At right now at 124k, 120k, there was this moment, first game, I think, first couple of games where we shot up to about 30k, and I was over the moon. Of course, I knew that that's not going to happen. We were a bit lucky as well, considering that a lot of the big hitters didn't do much. Of course, Foden didn't hurt our rank. Martinelli, we didn't have Martinelli. Martinelli also didn't hurt our rank in any way. So I mean, kind of a mixed week. I think it's okay. That's what it was, and we'll move on. Hoping that we get. I still feel it's going to be a low scoring game, so there might not be a lot of shift in terms of the ranks. One of the biggest ways the ranks can shift this week is through captaincy. And let's say if majority of people are going for Salah captaincy, and if somebody like a Trossard, somebody like a Mount or a Zaha, any captaincy option which is a differential, who's a differential option, if they really score big, I think that is where the variance could kick in and come in. But yeah, that's what I have in terms of what my team did and how my team did. But yeah, let's see. Hoping for a average sort of a week. Lucky that I have at least. I mean, if I don't think so, any of these players are going to get benched. But let's say if even if they get benched, I still have a feeling that they will end up getting at least a basic appearance points, and I think that should be okay for this week. I think a lot of teams who are in a really bad shape, and people are going all over the place in terms of playing the wild card, playing the free hit, and all that stuff. I'm just lucky that I'm not in that sort of a position. Would you recommend triple Brighton attack against Forest, Pascal Gross, Trossard, and Welbeck? I mean, it's a risk, but see, the issue with this is that if Brighton score 3 or 4, you expect at least, I mean, if not all three, at least two of these three to kind of get involved in the attacking returns. The issue is that Premier League, we've seen Premier League, right? We've seen what happens in the league. Any team can beat any team. We've seen strange results happening, strange matches happening. I mean, in the very rarest of the possibilities, let's say if Forest are able to keep a clean sheet somehow, or they win. I mean, let's say if they do outscore Brighton, and let's say by 2-1 or something like that, and Brighton don't really score a lot of goals. You have three players who are tied up in this sort of fixture, right? And that again. The possibility of that happening is very less, but we've seen that in the past in terms of FPL, in terms of football, that can happen. That's the only risk. Otherwise, if you just target the fixture, if you target whatever options you have against Forest, I think they will do fine. Exactly like Mitrovic, right? I mean, you would have expected Mitrovic to at least get at least one attacking return, if not more, and look at what happened there. So that it can absolutely happen, but yeah, I mean, if it's just for 1 week, I think it's people who are kind of taking these short-term punts and 1 week risks, etc. Considering that they have the wild card, I mean, it's okay to have a little bit of fun and then kind of just get back into the serious mode from next week onwards. But yeah, I mean, it is a bit of a wild one. But if you really believe that Brighton can do really well against Forest, absolutely go for it. Joe Gomez has a 2 to 3 week punt. Will he play? I think he should play. I think he should be fine. But again, I mean, Liverpool is still. Are we really confident in terms of Liverpool keeping a clean sheet? Though they did end up keeping a clean sheet against Man City, one of the toughest teams to play in the league. But I mean, yeah, if I really want to go towards a Liverpool, I would try to get towards a Trent or a Robertson, because that is where the upside is. With Gomez, we're not really going to get a lot in terms of attacking output. I mean, yes, you can argue that he can score goals from set pieces and corners and all that stuff, but I mean, how often does that happen, to be very honest, right? And I'm talking about a Robertson or a Trent giving attacking returns. How often has that happened this season, right? So that argument is that counter argument, which you kind of can throw in as well. But again, I would still, if I'm really looking at a Liverpool defender, I would not even look at the likes of Van Dijk. I know a lot of people still would probably go towards a Van Dijk because it's kind of making or helping them save a little bit money, and then they're also kind of getting a little bit more goal threat than maybe somebody like a Matip or a Gomez, for example. But yeah, I mean, I'd still kind of go towards a Robertson or a Trent. Ideally a Trent. If not, then possibly target a Robertson. And you have to kind of understand that because of the short turnaround time, there could be chances where any of these players can get benched, and you might not get the 90 minutes that you probably are looking at. Tony and Tonio Mitrovic over the next 3 weeks, only one. If I'm looking at one option out of these two options, I think Tony has been a safe pick. Again, having said that, Mitrovic isn't a bad pick either. If you look at Fulham's fixtures, it's Villa at home, Leeds away, and then Everton at home. So they are really good fixtures. If you look at Brentford, it's Chelsea, Villa, and Wolves. So I mean, Wolves is also a sort of a bogey team. I mean, you don't really know what to expect from Wolves because though they have been a little bit poor this season, they can still end up. I mean, they don't generally score a lot of goals. that's kind of accomplished, that's kind of established. But I mean, they can still keep clean sheets. So I think, considering the fact that Chelsea is also there, I just like Mitrovic's fixtures slightly better. I know probably you would say that Tony is in better form. I mean, both of them are ideal options for their own respective teams. They are on penalties. They are the talismanic, figure that you would expect a striker to be, or maybe you would want your FPL pick to be. But I just feel Mitrovic has slightly better fixtures. Why Nunes instead of Firmino again? I just have a slight feeling that Nunes starts this one ahead of Firmino, and it's not both of them starting together. It's one of them, and that's just my gut saying, to be very very honest. I won't lie here. I just have a feeling that Firmino, because of the short turnaround time, there are chances that Firmino might get rested, and Nunes starts. Considering that he also didn't start the last game, and there is a high chance of him getting more minutes. I mean, there could be a halftime sub as well. Firmino could end up playing what 40 odd minutes as well. I mean, anything can happen, but I just feel Nunes looks like the more explosive option. Firmino still has done really really well. His numbers are good. He's scoring goals this season. I understand all those arguments. It's just something that my gut says that maybe Darwin starts over Firmino and not with Firmino in this game. Robertson and Kanji or Gomez or Cancelo. I mean, I would definitely want Cancelo in my team, so I'll probably go Gomez and Cancelo. It just feels a lot more secure than going Robertson and Kanji. Should I transfer in Castagna for Patterson? I mean, Castagna's looked really good. He's been playing in a very attacking sort of a role. He's been getting into good positions. He is also a bonus points magnet, as we've seen already. And the next two fixtures at least are really good. It's Leeds and Wolves. Now, how much? Maybe you can expect a clean sheet from against Wolves, because Wolves traditionally they don't score a lot of goals. Leeds could be a very open game. But yeah, I mean, if it's a couple of weeks and if you are okay or you can bench him against Man City, I think it's not a bad move in place of Patterson. Is Trossard to Foden a transfer to book in for Game Week 13, even if you'll have only one free transfer? I mean, ideally, you would want to get rid of Trossard next week or maybe bench him. I mean, both ways it works. But I mean, Trossard against Man City, it's not ideal, right? So it is essentially booking a transfer, and even if you have only one free transfer, I think it's fine. But again, at the you probably it kind of depends on what your wildcard strategy etc is as well, right? I'm assuming that you might not have the wildcard, that's why you're just talking about one free transfer here. If you had the wildcard, I think it was a very straight simple transfer. You get him in and you take him out on the wildcard next week. Now let's say if you don't have a wildcard, I think it still makes sense. Again, you can still bench him, and if you're able to get towards a good playing 11 which you are satisfied with, I think that's really really important. I think then it's absolutely fine. But I mean, Trossard after that as well, right? It's Chelsea, so that's also not an easy fixture. So I think it is booking a move. It is kind of committing to a player, and of course, with such a short turnaround time, you can get injuries. There could be some players who might lose their place in the 11 or might be rotated. So that, I mean, that puts you in a bit of a risk, especially if you are only having a free transfer and you already are looking to replace a Trossard to a Foden. But I think it's final. I think in the next couple of weeks, a lot of people are expected to take hits. The average, I think, is gonna come slightly down, so I think you should be okay. I mean, of course, you would not want to book transfers, but it's not the worst transfer to book, to be very honest. Gomez is a good option too, only for 4.5. I mean, yes, he is a good option, and I don't think so. I mean, again, depends on the fitness of other players as well, right? Whether other players are fit and whether they could take his place. So that will kind of determine whether he's a nailed option for the next few weeks. But I can possibly look elsewhere as well. Cool. So we have about 2.5 hours to go. A lot of time to go. Guys, please make sure that you keep sending in your questions. I'll quickly check if we have any information, anything that we've missed. Have you tried using the AI prediction tool? I personally don't prefer it, but check once in a while. I mean, I have not really checked it ever, to be very honest. I'm not going to lie. Um, I look at these specific models and whatever, I mean, data that I look at. I think it's very filtered. I It's a huge debate in terms of Grass FC versus Analytics FC, and of course we can sit here for the next 2 hours and then talk about it. But I just I just feel when I'm writing content or when I'm producing content or when I'm just talking about FPL, of course I look at data, but I generally don't look at the prediction tools and predicted points and predicted. Of course, goal scoring odds and all that stuff is okay when you are probably looking at a bigger picture, or you're trying to get in more valuable points in terms of maybe making a decision, maybe if you want to help somebody, which is in this case me. But again, I generally don't look at the prediction models and all that stuff in a lot of depth. Will Botman be benched? Better option than Guehi? I mean, it doesn't look like that he will get benched. I mean, they're definitely a better defense than Crystal Palace. So Eddie Howe said, "My faith in him is huge. We really fought him to sign him, and we stuck to our guns because he was the one we wanted. He's very good on the ball, but he surprised me with how good he's. I mean, the way Eddie Howe is speaking about him, it doesn't feel like he's probably going to get benched. But I mean, see, you would not probably expect the main players, or your best players to kind of get benched, but you still also kind of need to understand the short turnaround time, uh, and certain teams who have deeper squads like a Chelsea, for example, we will end up seeing a lot of rotation there, and we just have to take that on our chin and just kind of work towards it. That's the best we can do. Given the tough fixture this week, does Kane have better upside for captaincy versus a mid-price mid? I mean, he definitely does, to be honest. If a lot of people are not going Salah, they are going Trossard. I still am not very confident in terms of how many people are going for Zaha. I've not seen that, but I don't think so. It's going to be as high as a Trossard, or anywhere close to a Salah. Kane has better upside, but if you look at the other aspect of it, he also has a tougher fixture, right? Man United aren't that easy to play with. I mean, of course, if we maybe remove the Man City game, or don't take that into consideration, they have been decent in defense. They are a team who've looked okay in defense. They aren't really conceding a lot of goals, and that's the reason I'm a little bit turned off with the Kane captaincy. If you followed my content on Instagram, on Twitter, or any of the videos that we've done this week, or for this game week, I've not really mentioned Kane as a massive captaincy shout. A lot of people have asked me why. I just feel that he doesn't have the fixture. Yes, he has the form, but he doesn't have the fixture for sure. There's upside because not a lot of people would be captaining Kane. That is absolutely there. And if he scores, you might end up getting more points. But I generally don't feel he's. I mean, high chances of him blanking as well against Man United. So that's where I am in terms of the Kane captaincy. Should I sell Kane for Salah? Depends on your long term plan as well. If you want to get in a Liverpool attacker, and if you want to retain that premium spot, just because you can even shift to let's say a KDB later, maybe a Son later when the time comes. If the time comes, I think it's fine. It's not the worst move to make. I mean, I would love to have Salah, considering that he you can easily captain him in the next 2 to 3 game weeks. I mean, there is a debate for sure. Of course, there is Haaland as well, and I still feel, let's say if Salah goes absolutely crazy this week, then we might have a conversation in game week 13. But I don't think so. It's a bad move. He just gives you an additional option to kind of move towards captaincy. Plus, I think it's better fixtures than Kane. I feel the air depends on fixtures and not on form. It does. I'm not sure. Again, I'll be doing injustice to this argument if I comment on it, because I haven't really dived very deep into it. But I mean, yeah, I really don't know how that works. It could be a combination of both fixture and form. It could just be the fixture. It could just be how or which player is a part of which attacking team, and is up against which team, and how they are doing defensively. So that could be the element there as well. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure, to be honest. James, KDB, Madison out. Castagna, Salah, Trossard in a -8. So you're taking out James, you're taking out Madison, two players who are not playing this week. I think it's okay. You're getting in Salah, and if you're captaining Salah, it's absolutely fine. Trossard as well. This week is great. Next week, I don't know what are you gonna do with Trossard. Castagna, as I mentioned, the next couple of game weeks are pretty good. Uh, Non-FPL thoughts on Casemiro. I think he's been okay. I mean, I'm not even considering him from an FPL point of view because he's not an FPL pick at all. But still haven't seen enough. Of course, we haven't seen enough of him starting games. Maybe it's going to take some time. It's just not. I mean, the idea of having Casemiro as a DM and then maybe playing, Bruno and Ericsson along with him, it looks really appealing. But he hasn't. I mean, at least we haven't seen that clicking or blossoming so far. Of course, it's again too early. Maybe he's going to take some time. We still have to kind of adjust to the fact that we have these players and we have a different manager, and of course he's going to try out different ideas. The level of opposition also kind of demands in terms of how the team is structured and what, I mean, what plays are we making in that particular game and all that stuff. But I mean, it's been a very average performance or average showing from Casemiro. Of course, I'm not doubting the fact that he is a great player. I mean, we all of us know that. But yeah, I mean, very average start to the United life so far. Malacia to Guehi for a -4. I don't mind. It looks okay. Malacia doesn't. I mean, Malacia will definitely get rotated. I don't think so. He's gonna start games. Shaw played full 90. I understand that. And the one before that, and then 30 minutes midweek. So I mean, there could be rotation. I can't sit here and say that Shaw is absolutely nailed. Considering the short turnaround time, there could be rotation in this spot as well. Considering that Ten Hag has that option, I think there could be rotation. And just because of the fact that, I might not get the minutes that I'm probably expecting from a defender, considering that you are probably starting this defender, I think it's okay to, get towards a Guehi. I understand it's for a hit, and Palace aren't the team who will keep clean sheets in every game. Gohi is again not somebody who will score or end up scoring in every game. So the hit might feel a bit itchy, but I think it's fine long term. Kepa, a decent option. I like him. I know not a lot of people are heavy on Kepa. They still feel Mendy could come in. A couple of bad performances from Kepa and he might lose his place. I just feel he's looked a lot better. I mean, he looks like a different keeper. Of course, the kind of saves that he made in the last game against Villa, they were really good. His distribution is always. I still feel his distribution is a lot better than Mendy. He just has struggled against, or when we talk about long saves or making saves from shots outside the box or long shots. That's where he generally struggles, and let's see what happens there. But I think he's looked the part so far, and why not? See, the option that you're taking is not somebody that you're taking for the next 15-20 game weeks, right? I mean, you're not going to get stuck with that option. Yes, you will possibly try to get towards a Kepa plus a Ward, or somebody who's very cheap, so you might not have a second playing goalkeeper option. So why am I saying this? Because if Kepa doesn't start, then you will possibly have to make a transfer. But again, Ward, I'm still not expecting Leicester to keep a lot of clean sheets, but worst case scenario, you still have some backup. So I don't mind going for Kepa, because from Game Week 17, you'll anyways end up having unlimited transfers. You can easily change Kepa then. But for the coming game weeks, I don't mind him as an option. In fact, I am also looking at him as a replacement for Raya. Raya has absolutely done well. He has decent pictures. I might not still do the replacement or the change, but I'm definitely considering that option on the wildcard in Game Week 13. Link to AI, I don't have any. I'm not sure what you mean there. Any news on Mings? We'll quickly check. Yeah, I was just checking the Mings news. I still haven't figured out this. I mean, why does this the screen change? Anyways, I was just talking about the Mings injury and whether he's probably gonna start or not. I mean, there's nothing that we have or I can see on Twitter. The 75% chance of him playing. I think he should play. I mean, they also don't have Diego Carlos, so I think he should play. Do we get a wild card after game week 16 too? Yes, you do get a wild card after game week 16. There will be unlimited. I mean, there will be unlimited transfers, so you can call it a wild card. You can call it just unlimited transfers. But yeah, I mean, you will be getting unlimited moves, unlimited transfers from game week 17 onwards, or for game week 17, which is on the 26th of December, and that's the first game week after the World Cup. So even if you are wildcarding next week, it's essentially for game week 13 to 16, right? So that's about 4 weeks. But again, this is possibly one chance where you can attack the next 4 weeks. A lot of people might not be able to get towards options from Man City, Man United, Arsenal, Liverpool. As I mean, a combination of all these. Of course, I still feel a lot of people would still have 3 to 4 pair minimum of 3 to 4 players from Arsenal and Man City, and maybe more in the subsequent weeks. But yeah, I mean, the wildcard definitely can give you that advantage. Given the Brighton manager guaranteed that Lallana will play tonight, I mean, yes, I also feel that it is more likely that Pascal Gross will be rotated, and Trossard can move to the left wing back position. It diminishes Trossard as a captaincy option, I understand, but he did score that hat trick from that left wing back role. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember him scoring that hat trick from that left wing back role only. So I mean, there is potential, but I understand that point where you know the threat might be a little bit less, or I don't think so. It's going to be significantly lesser because he's that's still an attacking position, and we know that Trossard is not a defender, right? So he will definitely attack more. But yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it slightly diminishes the appeal for sure. And that's the reason where Salah is the most or the prime captaincy option for Game Week 12, right? Because everybody is trying to get in Salah and trying to make him as captain because the fixture looks really good. Yes, West Ham is still a decent game. I mean, it's not going to be that easy, but I mean, it's just a lot of positivity than that what people saw from the game against Man City, and he looked really lively. Right now, whether he's gonna do anything this week, whether he blanks again, it's a different conversation. But I just feel he looked really, really good against Man City. It also depends on what I mean, where he plays in that Liverpool structure and that setup, right? If he's a lot more central, if he's a lot more closer to goal, he will get into good goal scoring chances, goal scoring opportunities, and I think there are chances that he can get a mega haul as well. Guys, do let me know if you have more questions. I'll just quickly check. I'll quickly recheck the Mings news again if I get something. I mean, what are your thoughts on Sinister? I mean, I've seen a lot of people also going for him. And I think he could be a great option as well. Just not very short term. I think he's not getting a lot of credit in terms of a lot of managers going for him. But I think he could be a decent pick, uh, considering that Leeds don't really have. I mean, yes, they do face Liverpool in game week 14, but the next two are really good. It's Leicester and Fulham. Then they have Bournemouth in game week 15 as well. I know that Bournemouth is probably not a fixture where teams are now scoring 4 or 5 goals, but I mean, he could still be a decent option to kind of go for. I understand that a lot of people, I mean, for a lot of people, he would be a sort of an unknown, unknown player, unknown commodity in terms of FPL as well. But I think he could be a great option. I mean, there are chances that you can even go from a Trossard to a Sinistera. That's also an option. I don't think so. Not a lot of people are kind of recognizing that. But you don't have, I mean, if that Foden slash a Saka position is kind of okay in your team, and you maybe have Martinelli as well, I think Sinister is probably the next move or the next player I'll look at. But let's see. I'm still bullish on the fact that Darwin Nunes starts. I think this is probably the only risky move that I've taken this week, or in general this season. I've tried to play it very safe, try to go very basic, and I think it's kind of worked as well. But again, it also depends on the kind of players you are, right? I mean, a lot of people, they try to do a lot of upside chasing, they try to catch hauls, they try to attack the fixtures, and they're okay taking hits because of the fact that they are maybe captaining a differential player who has good potential as well. It's just not about going absolutely rogue and just going for any random player. It's also about which players can give you huge hauls and could really really help you gain a lot of points and gain ranks. Is holding Bowen this week a good decision? I mean, it's against Liverpool. Liverpool have maybe slightly looked a little bit better in defense, but they still, with all those injuries, with again such a short turnaround time. I mean, there are chances that Liverpool can even concede. I mean, West Ham is also a team which has been a bit tricky to kind of predict because they've had their times with they've had their good games and the bad games as well. And I mean, holding Bowen against Liverpool isn't the worst idea I've seen out there. I mean, I've seen a lot worse, to be very honest. I think the fixtures after Liverpool are also okay. I mean, Bournemouth is okay. Then it's Man United, then Crystal Palace, Leicester. So it's not bad. I mean, yes, we have slightly better options maybe, but I mean, if you have nothing else to do, if you're maybe not taking a hit for this sort of a player, this sort of a transfer, or any player who you getting in your team, I think holding Bowen is absolutely fine. Mount or Sinistera. Annoyed I allowed myself to be convinced out of Mount for Trossard last week, but I'm afraid of rotation. I mean, yeah, I mean, he's the only one who's played every game under Potter so far, so that really kind of tells two things. One, that Potter's has really trusted, you know, his life on Mount in terms of keeping him in the team, and he's repaid that faith by putting in some great performances. He is getting attacking returns as well, but that really puts him at a risk of maybe getting rested this week. uh, and it could be next week as well, right? I mean, it's very difficult to pinpoint that what Potter's gonna do, because he is kind of becoming like another Pep, where it's very difficult to kind of predict what Potter's doing, and how much rotation can he do to the Chelsea team. It also kind of depends on what are the other options that can play in that position, right? And there are alternates available there. Just because the fact that there could be some slight rotation, and I understand that a lot. I'm not bullish on the fact that I really need to get Mount, but I mean, he's been a bit lucky in terms of those returns as well. If you saw the last game, he was lucky in kind of both in scoring both the goals. Of course, you could say that there's a lot of element of luck involved in FPL as well, and that's absolutely fine. But I just feel the fixtures, the coming fixtures are Brentford, United, Man United, Brighton, Arsenal, Newcastle. So they're not the easiest set of fixtures, and I just feel Mount is a decent option, but there are better options to kind of go for. And Sinistera is risky, of course, because I mean, he doesn't play for a premium team. He may be not a premium option as well, and there are a lot of unknowns when we talk about Sinistera. But I think I'm okay going Sinister as well. I'll probably end up saving a bit of money as well, and maybe I can invest that money to get towards a Trent or a Robertson. Let's say if I want to go towards a attacking sort of a premium defender, I mean, this money might just help me get there. And if it does, I think Sinistera might not be the a really really bad option. Keeper options for the next 4 weeks. Don't want to double up on Palace or Newcastle. Kepa is unsafe. I mean, if you feel that Kepa is I generally feel that Kepa is probably going to retain his place. But if you're looking at 3 weeks and you don't want to double up on Palace and Newcastle, which is I think absolutely okay, uh, I think I'll probably look at Brentford as well. I mean, yeah, I understand the Chelsea fixture, but then it's Villa and Wolves. I think both are. Wolves is definitely a fixture that where he could keep clean sheets. Villa again is a fixture where he can make saves. Considering Villa are a decent attack, I mean, there is saves potential there. There is even a clean sheet potential. I mean, he might just keep out the Villa attack. I mean, the good options are Palace. I don't want to go near Fulham, Leeds, I mean, Leicester as well. The third fixture is against Man City, and if I look at Ward versus Raya, I still feel Raya has better fixtures to kind of target. I would not want to. I mean, you can even look at Liverpool and Allison, but again, I mean, Allison is not somebody. I mean, he did give an assist in the last game, but I mean, he's not somebody who's going to make a lot of saves, and it also kind of depends on how much do you trust the Liverpool defense and whether you're kind of blocking your, I mean, your team in terms of the third Liverpool spot. Considering that are going for three Liverpool options, I'm assuming a lot of people would go Salah, so the first option would be Salah. The second option could be a Trent, Robertson. Considering the fact that Jota and Diaz are both out, I mean, you could look at a Nunes as well. Maybe, I mean, you, of course, are not going to go for Nunes and Firmino both. You probably end up going with one. So that kind of gives you that third spot, which if you're okay going with, I mean, West Ham, Forest, and Leeds, they're, I think, decent fixtures. Liverpool can keep clean sheets in at least two of them. So if you feel that way, I think Allison is also something or some option or somebody that I think not a lot of people are looking at, right? And then he could be one option as well. De Bruyne, Madison, and Fofana to Salah, Trossard, and Guehi. Like the moves. De Bruyne to Salah looks good. Madison not playing, not worth keeping him unless you're really looking at a Foden or a Saka next week. And Fofana to Guehi, I think for a hit it's pretty good. I mean, you're getting in high potential moves. You're getting in a Trossard. You're getting in a Salah. Guehi as well. I mean, you can play him in the next few fixtures. Wolves, Everton, Southampton, they're all good. So I think that's okay. For a hit, I think it's fine. Is Doherty the best point for pound defender right now? Maybe again. I mean, he's definitely a lot cheaper than you would probably expect him. I think he was it last season? I'm not sure. I think he was in that 5 million price range. So I mean, yeah, considering that he is attacking, considering that he's cheap as well, I mean, maybe Spurs keep an odd clean sheet here and there. Could be. Let's see what are the other options in that similar sort of a price range. I mean, you have the Arsenal defense as well. You have somebody like a White as well, who's also 4.5, who's been okay in terms of FPL points. Um, but yeah, I think the Arsenal defense is something maybe specifically White because now Saliba and Gabriel are anyways a little bit more expensive now. I think he could be definitely up there. If not the best, I mean at least in the top two or three players for sure. I mean, you have options like Justin as well, Ain't Nuri as well, but they haven't really clicked so far, right? I mean, in terms of keeping clean sheets, in terms of any sort of attacking returns, both Justin and Ain't Nuri, they haven't really shown much. Otherwise, they could have been good options. Even the West Ham defense, right? A lot of people are very heavy in terms of going for a Sufal, going for an Emerson, but we haven't really seen much from both the options so far. So it might change in the coming time. It might change after the World Cup. We don't know that. But I mean, there could be certain options as well. Neko Williams looked like a great option when we started the season, but considering how Forest has kind of evolved in terms of their defending, in terms of how Neko Williams' return is in terms of FPL. I mean, it's not he's a great option to have on your bench, who's of course very cheap because he's only 4.1 to kind of come on and give you an odd appearance points, and only that, and that also kind of works out only if Forest have not really conceded a lot of goals because we've seen Neko Williams having two fixtures. I think it's Man City and Leicester, right? I mean, they conceded a combined 10 goals in those two fixtures, and that is where Neko Williams has got two minus ones as well. So, I mean, yeah, a lot of expectations from Williams, but yeah, I mean, he's just okay as a cheap option. Patterson was looking very promising before the injury. I think he possibly would have been a lot better than Neko Williams. Considering that again, he has a decent attacking threat. Everton are a team who will shut up shop against the tougher oppositions. There are clean sheets in there, and the fixtures are upcoming fixtures are also pretty good. I mean, Palace, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth. Before we break for World Cup, I think all the fixtures are really good. So I mean, there was potential there as well, but again, the injury has kind of hampered that progress. I'm getting in Trossard just for 1 week, changing to Foden or Saka next week. I think that's what a lot of people are doing, which is again absolutely fine. Also thinking of doing Zaha to Saka and Foden, so I can have both. But Zaha has such good fixtures, so don't know. So I mean Trossard for I mean, if you replace Trossard and you get in Foden or Saka, I think that's fine. Zaha to Saka, Foden. I mean, I still believe that when you compare Zaha to Saka or a Foden, I still feel if I had to rate all three, I would still rate maybe Foden number one, Saka number two, and Zaha three. So I don't think so. It's the worst move out there. And it also kind of depends on your Martinelli position, right? So if you're talking about Arsenal attackers, and if you have, let's say, somebody like a Martinelli, I mean, yes, there would be certain points coverage that you will probably get from Martinelli, but again, a lot of people already have a Martinelli, so the advantage might not be huge. And Saka could give you that that double up or that good double advantage in the Arsenal attack. But if you have a certain Martinelli in your team, I think you can still kind of hold off the Zaha move because fixtures are good. We still haven't, at least I haven't seen enough since I have got him. I got him for the Chelsea game, of course. Wasn't really expecting a lot in that Chelsea game, but then I mean there have been two really really good fixtures in Leeds and Leicester. Haven't really seen much, and the Leicester game was very disappointing. I saw the game and I wasn't really happy in terms of what I saw from Zaha. Hopefully that changes, but I mean I still feel Saka is a much superior asset to kind of go for. And the fact that not a lot of people, if you have a Martinelli for example, not a lot of people would have that double up with the Saka and a Martinelli as well. I Let's see how much is Saka's ownership. I'm not sure. It's 12.8, so he's right now he's definitely not a lot owned. It might change in the coming time, but I have a feeling that still majority of the people are going to go towards a Foden, considering that they would have probably taken off let's say a KDB for example, and maybe they had additional money. See, if you had KDB and you probably had enough money to go towards the Salah, I think that's a straightforward switch. You might not even have a lot of money left. But I think if you downgraded KDB to some cheaper option, maybe towards a Trossard, maybe somebody else, which helped you get a lot of money, I think a lot of people would kind of look towards Foden as well. And I think he's still going to be more popular than a Saka. The next two for Saka's are they're really good fixtures. Southampton, Forest. I mean, even against Chelsea, he has the potential to do well. So I mean, I still believe Saka is the pick to kind of go for. I got Firmino instead of Darwin last night before the price rise. Your thoughts on him? I mean, I like him as well. I can't sit here and just say that Darwin is absolutely going to smash it and Firmino is a bad pick. Absolutely not. I just have a gut feel, or I just have a feeling that Darwin starts this one, and for me, it's just a 1 week punt. So it also kind of depends on how you are taking or how you're thinking of this player as a pick. Let's say if you are looking at a slightly long term option, I still believe that Firmino is the more settled and the more safer option to go for. If it's a 1 week punt, then I mean it's me against you. It's anybody's guess who's going to start, and it's very difficult to just say out there that Darwin's going to get these many minutes or Firmino's going to get a start, etc. Both options are good. Both options can start. Having said that, we still have to kind of temper the expectation because West Ham is not a bad defense. Though the fact that Salah and Liverpool and the other attackers are playing at home, so that kind of helps. But we have to temper the expectations there. So it depends on. It really depends on whether you're taking this as a long term pick or is just a 1 week punt. For me, I mean, Darwin was okay because it's just for 1 week. Let's see if he really performs well, he might stay, and Gabriel Jesus might not come back. But I think I'm still gonna go for Jesus. I've held him for all this while, and I've benefited from him as well. I think he's been okay. Of course, I would have probably expected him to do a bit better, but now the option now, or considering that the option is also there to go towards the Saka as well, right? Because we had the likes of Madison, who's being replaced heavily this week. Then we have the likes of Zaha. We have other options, Bowen, etc. as well, and that switch is very easy, right? And I can switch back as well. So there is flexibility in that position, and because of that, I think, and considering the fact that Saka is also being a lot more involved in the Arsenal attack, I think I might just go with Saka and Foden and maybe a Salah as well, and might have to let go of Jesus considering the money. But again, I'll probably make a wildcard draft just to kind of understand that. And a downgrade from a Jesus to a Mitrovic is also okay. I mean, it's not the worst move to be honest. Brave move with Darwin. Good luck. I mean, yeah. I generally hope that he scores because he's a 1 week punt. Mostly he's gonna be a 1 week punt. I don't think so. I have the heart to play him every week, and and see his minutes getting reduced. Maybe see him getting benched, or coming from the bench playing for the last 20-30 minutes. I'm not that sort of a risky player. I'm okay taking a bit of a punt on certain players, maybe who are nailed options, etc. But yeah, I mean, until the fact that we get that surety that Darwin's gonna start, or maybe Firmino gets injured, and Darwin's is quite nailed, I don't think so. I'm probably gonna go there. This week again, his performance might, if he starts and if he plays well, a lot of ifs there. But if he does all this, I think the conversation could be different next week. Absolutely. Now into Jesus, your future plan. Then I mean that's what I just said, right? I might just get in Saka. I'm definitely getting in Martinelli because I got burned with Martinelli for sure. The 1 week I replaced him with Zaha. I think Zaha did. I think he scored 5 and Martinelli ended up scoring 11, something like that. 12 points. Yeah, so I lost. I lost a good chunk of points there, and then I just feel Martinelli in that price point. I mean, you're not getting any competition from any player. I mean, he's definitely a great pick to still have. I've had him for the most time, and I'll get back to him. Saka is somebody that I'm really considering. Now, whether it'll be Saka or Foden, one of them or both of them, along with the Salah, for example, let's see. And that kind of will dictate in terms of whether I'm going for a Gabriel Jesus or not, because I'm definitely not going for a trio of Jesus, Saka, and Martinelli. It's definitely going to be two of them. Zaha or Trent till game week 16. I mean, they're two different positions, so the comparison is not the correct one. I understand why the comparison, because they're in similar price points, and you might feel that you might get more from a defender in the same price point or the price category, but they're different positions. So the argument is it's a little bit flawed, but I mean, if I'm looking at one option, I would love to go for a Trent. Considering the fact that Liverpool has decent fixtures, there is clean sheet potential in there as well. Uh, Trent can get attacking returns. We've seen that he can get attacking returns, so it's not that he doesn't or he cannot. His initially when I've not looked at the last couple of game weeks in terms of what those numbers are, but in general, Trent, when he was starting games and when he was playing early on, his numbers still looked quite good in terms of the attacking stats that we look at when we're talking about attacking defenders or premium defenders, right? So I still feel I would probably look towards a Trent, considering that there are different options. Let's say if you want to save some money, you can go cheaper as well. You can go Pereira as well. If you are looking at alternates in that price point, you have other options as well. And I think Trent is still the better option for me. Out of two, again, different positions, different players, different teams, and all that stuff. But I think Trent is definitely looking a lot better. What would be your front three on a wildcard this week? If I'm wildcarding this week, which is game week 12, I'll definitely have Haaland. I don't think so. There's any worth in terms of taking him out and then getting him back again. You lose money, you lose value, and I don't think so. It's worth it. The second option has to be Mitrovic. A safe pick, safe option, has good fixtures this week as well, giving you a good game. That's number two. Third is where I think it's gonna get very interesting because you have a lot of options to go towards. I mean, I have Tony in my team right now, and I think a lot of people would still go Tony. He's been good. There's no denying the fact that he has been okay. I mean, yes, Chelsea, it kind of turns you off because Chelsea is going to be a tough game, and that is when you kind of decide whether you want to stick with a safer Tony or a Wilson, for example. I have seen if money is a problem, then you maybe go towards a Dominic Solanke. I still don't feel there is enough value in going there, and you have better options to go towards. I know Kane has been scoring goals and he's been still doing great, but I still believe because of the fact that I mean, it's probably going to be one between Kane or a Salah or a KDB, right? So that spot is where I will kind of compete in my head because I'm not letting off Haaland. And there's absolutely no way I'm letting off Haaland. So it's a competition between those two, premium options. And I generally feel a Salah might be a lot better than Kane and might outscore Kane in the next few weeks. I mean, there is absolute possibility, but again, we still have to temper our expectations. All of a sudden, things might not change for Liverpool, but I'm okay going for a Darwin or a Firmino again, but there is slight risk there, and in that case, I mean, Wilson is also okay. The fixtures are okay. I mean, Everton, Tottenham, Villa. I think it's absolutely fine to look at Wilson as well in that spot. Other than that, I don't see a lot of other options. I mean, you can say Watkins, Welbeck, but I just don't see enough value there. There was a conversation of Skamaka as well, but I feel the time to get in a Skamaka is probably gone. I won't get him now. And there aren't really other options that I'll probably look at. Have 8.1 million. Should I get Firmino or Solanke? It depends on your plan. It depends on your strategy, on your structure, whether this plan is or this move is a short term move, whether you're taking this player as a long term option. I think if you're just taking this to save money and you want to invest that money in midfield or attack or in your defense as well, I mean, go Solanke. But I mean, I'm just not convinced. I mean, West Ham, Tottenham are going to be tough games. Southampton is looking good this week. Then it's Leeds, Everton. 15, 16 is also okay. The next two are tough. So if you can manage to, bench him for 13 and 14, you probably get Solanke. But I just feel there is more to gain from a Firmino. Even if he gets benched, right? Even if he gets limited minutes, I mean, there's definitely more to gain from a Firmino. There's Wilson as well. I mean, I'm not sure if you're considering Wilson. I know he's injury prone. I know, I mean, there's always a chance that he gets injured or he can get injured. But Isak is not featuring at all. We know that he's confirmed out for a long time. And I think Wilson is going to start. Yes, the turnaround time is also, I mean, Everton, Tottenham, Villa in the next three, you might expect a benching or maybe maybe some sort of early subs to kind of keep Wilson fresh because he will be pivotal in the Newcastle attack. But yeah, I mean he could also be an option if you're looking at slightly riskier options. I mean Wilson's definitely up there, not as risky as maybe a Firmino because there could be a slightly heavier rotation in that Firmino Nunes spot. Thinking of getting Kepa as my first choice to free up some money. I mean, absolutely, why not? Kepa is a good option. Kepa is cheaper than Raya, I think, right now. I'm not sure. I think so. Kepa is 4.4 still, or has he been 4.5? 4.4, yeah. I mean, so he's cheaper than Raya at the moment. It's just crazy to think that you'll get a Chelsea starting keeper at that sort of a cheap price point. I understand the argument or why the confusion or why that thought in your head in terms of that he might not be nailed, and I get that absolutely because a couple of bad performances, really bad performances, and there is a replacement waiting on the bench, a ready replacement waiting on the bench for Chelsea who can absolutely play. Yes, he's been poor this season. Mendy has been poor this season, but I mean he's still a great keeper, right? And I get that argument, but again, if it's only for a few weeks, considering the fact that we can easily change him from game week 17, I think it's fine. Is Trossard to Foden or Tony? Trossard to Foden or Tony to Firmino? Darwin a bigger priority given Liverpool's Nottingham Forest fixture. Mm, I mean, I would love to go towards a Firmino or a Darwin. Considering the fact that I'm I'm a little bit more comfortable having a Ford in my team because I know for a fact that he's gonna start most games. We still know that Pep can rotate, but I just feel considering the fact that Foden has been so good, I mean he will definitely end up getting minutes, and we know even bench appearances from these options can give you FPL points, right? So I don't think so. It's a bigger priority because let's say if you have a Salah in your team, now there are a lot of unknowns at the moment right now because we don't know where Salah is going to play. I mean what structure is Liverpool going to adopt? Where is Salah going to play? Is he going to play wide? Is he going to play central? So there are a lot of these unknown hidden quantities that we have. With Foden, with Man City, we know what we're. I mean, we expect to see a certain kind of play, certain kind of game, and we know that we can be a bit sure about that. So I don't think so. It's a bigger priority. I understand the fixture, and I understand that Liverpool can end up scoring 5-6 goals. Absolutely. So it depends, right? If you want to go a bit riskier, yes, you probably look in this direction, but again, you will then end up having the dilemma in terms of which player to start because there will be rotation for sure in these spots, and then unless we get a clear understanding that both of them are going to start together, that's a different. I mean, it's an alternate scenario and a different scenario, but I don't think so. It's a bigger priority or something. I don't think so. A lot of people will go there because it's a risky move, right? A lot of people like to play safe and like to go for the knowns and not venture towards the unknowns, and that's where you can take advantage and get ahead of the curve, but it comes with a risk. So it depends on your risk appetite as well, right? How much risk you're willing to take. Best defender to go for within the 5.4 price, only for this game week. I mean, I'm assuming you already have Trippier. I'm assuming you'll possibly. I mean, you can look at a Brighton defender. You can look. I mean, Brighton defender looks okay just for this week. If you're looking at a high upside pick, uh, Brighton is definitely having the fixture. It's against Nottingham Forest. You would expect Forest to concede, so that's an option. You can even look at a Crystal Palace defender. I don't think so. Wolves are a team who are gonna score 2 3 goals. I mean, every now and then we can have a freak result and all that stuff, but Wolves, I think Wolves have definitely the lowest scoring team in the Premier League this season. I think there are possibilities of Palace even keeping a clean sheet in this one. So maybe a Guehi, if you want to go there. Maybe an Anderson if you Anderson. I think yeah, Anderson is affordable in that price point. So you prioritize an Anderson over a Guehi or maybe a Dunk. These are the options. I mean, I want to go for a Chelsea defender, but it's very difficult to kind of go for one because there will be rotation there, and the other options aren't really that enticing, to be very very honest. I mean, you can easily look at somebody from Newcastle, assuming that you maybe have a Trippier you can double up, because Everton again could be a clean sheet in there as well. I just feel if I'm looking at just one fixture in isolation, I'll just probably look at a Dunk, uh, yeah, or a Webster. I mean, a Dunk is absolutely fine. My strikers are Mitrovic, Tony, and Haaland. Is there much point in transferring one of these? I mean, not Haaland, obviously. To Firmino Nunes, I already have Salah. I mean, so again, it depends on the risks that you want to take, right? Haaland, Mitrovic, Tony, it's gonna be a safe and a template sort of a trio up front. Of course, you could say that maybe not Tony. Tony is not as high owned as somebody like a Mitrovic, I think, and definitely not close to Gabriel Jesus. But I mean, it's a safe option if you are okay taking a bit of a risk, bit of a chance, considering that you want to attack the next three. I mean, you can absolutely get burnt as well. I could do two this week, right? The advantage with me is that I'm possibly just looking at this option as a 1 week option and not maybe beyond that. But I mean, you can attack the fixtures. If we get some inkling whether it's going to be, which one is it going to be, we can go towards that. But it's not a must have or must do, or I mean, you really really have to do it. There are risks involved, so you understand the risks. There are potential gains to be had there as well. And if you want to go safe, then I think Mitrovic, Tony, and Haaland is the set option to kind of go towards. Bro, remember me? I told you I'm captaining Mount and not Haaland. I mean, yeah, that's. I mean, let's see that how that happens this week. I mean, of course, Haaland's not playing this week, but how Mount kind of whether he starts and how Chelsea play against Brentford. I don't think so. It's going to be that straightforward game. Brentford is playing at home. They're okay. I mean, Brentford is also an on and off team. I mean, a couple of games they'll play really really well. Then they will start conceding goals left, right, and center. Let's see what happens this week. Is Trippier a captaincy option? I mean, he's not the worst captaincy option out there. Yes, I always try to go for the attackers because there is more upside. But I mean, Trippier, we've seen that Trippier, he has a lot of attacking potential. He definitely is. To me, he's definitely been the best defender from an FPL point of view this season. Though Cancelo is outscoring him, but I mean the kind of value that Trippier is providing, there is a mean free kick in him. He can get you assists. Newcastle can keep clean sheets as well. Might not be as high as Man City, for example. I think Man City has kept what 5 or 6 clean sheets this season, and I think Trippier is also not very far, right? I mean similar numbers. So I mean could be a decent option, but I generally like to go for an attacker. But yeah, if you are thinking that Everton maybe are not going to score, you have a potential to keep a clean sheet there with maybe some attacking returns. Not the worst call. This is 1 week where you can absolutely go, multiple directions, multiple ways. I still feel Salah is going to be overwhelmingly favorite in terms of captaincy, but there are potential routes elsewhere. Let's say if Salah blanks, I mean, it's going to be chaos in the FPL space. My captain is on this week. Is it worth captain Trippier or Mitrovic? I mean, if I'm captaining a player out of these three options, I'll probably captain Mitrovic. Villa also haven't looked that great. Gerrard is under a lot of pressure. I mean, defensively, Villa isn't a sound team. There are injuries, etc., in there as well. And I'll possibly just look at a Mitrovic if I'm not captaining a Trippier. Son against United, yes, I mean, he can still do okay, but it's just a better. Mitrovic just has a better fixture. And if not Mitrovic, there are other options as well, again, depending on who you have. Plan is to get Harry Kane as the third premium next week. That's okay. Harry Kane, as whatever people say or whatever I say, Harry Kane still done great in terms of numbers, in terms of scoring goals. I mean, he's gone definitely gone under the radar. I just feel there are better options, and I mean, I can't say better options, but there are probably more value options. I can maybe get a similar value from a Mitrovic. Might not be as, of course, we're talking about Kane versus Mitrovic, so maybe it's not a fair argument considering that they're very different price points. But I can maybe invest that additional money elsewhere and maybe get more value and get a better overall squad rather than just having one pick in isolation. But yeah, I mean, going for Kane is not bad at all. Don't have Cancelo or Trent, James and Madison out, but who in? Trent and roll on to 13 and get Saka or Foden, or roll James and go for 1 week punt on Trossard and get Cancelo next week. I mean, I would definitely want to get Cancelo in more than I would want to probably get a Trent, for example. I still feel, yeah, I mean, you cover the basics by having Cancelo. His ownership is high. I mean, he's definitely playing for a much better defense. There's more clean sheet potential. Cancelo, when he plays in that right back position, I mean, he definitely has massive potential, and that could happen in the coming weeks. I just feel Cancelo is better. So you probably just roll with James. You go for a 1 week punt on Trossard, and then you move on to Cancelo next week. Also, kind of see how you can get in a Saka or a Foden. Maybe not next week, the week later, because James is definitely out. So you probably will have to do a replacement. I mean, it really depends on if you want to play a bit safer or you want to attack the game week. If you want to play a bit safer, Cancelo is the option to go for. But if you are looking to attack the next two, so Trent will definitely give you a little bit of an edge because not a lot of people will go Trent this week. And then a Saka or Foden is kind of ideal as well. So it depends on the kind of, I mean, both aren't really very risky picks or risky strategies, but it really depends on how whether you want to play safe or whether you want to attack the next two. Because if you want to go attack or try to chase hauls, I think Trent plus the Saka Foden combination, which I think should be Foden, looks a lot better. Should I transfer out Cucurella? I have one free transfer and 2.3 in the bank and a full playing 11. I don't think so. You need to. Cucurella might end up starting this week. There will be rotation. I mean, expect rotation to happen. But considering the fact that Cucurella only played for 45 minutes last week and maybe Chilwell played, I mean, Chilwell definitely played 90. And maybe Cucurella plays in that left wing back position and Chilwell gets a rest. Considering that the short turnaround time is there are chances of Cucurella starting this week as well. So I don't think so. You need to make that move this week. Best captain option: Mitrovic versus Zaha versus Wilson versus Mount. I mean, out of all these options, Mitrovic, if you want to go a bit safer, if you want to go a bit risky, then you possibly look at Wilson. I think there are chances of a Mount benching as well. That's why I don't like him for captaincy as much as I like the other options. But yeah, safer is Mitrovic, slightly riskier is Wilson. What do you think of Sinistera as a Madison replacement? I like him if you are looking at a long-term option, and if you cannot go towards a Foden or a Saka, and if you really really want to pick this week and then a certain option for the next couple of weeks, slightly long term, I don't mind the idea of having a Sinistera. Get on him a bit earlier than the other managers. I still don't feel or believe that he's going to be a very popular pick. I mean, people will find other moves from more premium teams. Of course, he plays for Leeds. He's also kind of been under the wraps, where not a lot of people have looked at him. But I mean, he could be a great differential. If you are looking at a differential option, a slightly long term differential option, uh, I think you could easily get in a Sinistera. Kane versus Solanke, Mitrovic stays. I mean, very different price points, different options. I don't know what your plan is if you get in Solanke because you will have enough money. Now, what do you do with that money? I'm not sure. Haaland, Kane, and Mitrovic in attack in a 3-4-3. Um, I mean, depends on what you do with that Kane money, right? Getting in Solanke is fine. Playing him in the easier fixtures is also fine. Benching him in the tougher games is the ideal strategy. But then what do you do with the Kane money is the question. I mean, are you planning to go towards a Salah, or maybe you're planning to get better defenders like a Trent? I don't know. So depends on that plan, to be very honest. What do you think about Bella Kochep to I hope I've not murdered that name, and Madison to Trent and Almiron. I like it. Almiron is a great differential. Again, not a lot of people are looking at him because he's not been that consistent, but I think he could be decent. Newcastle have good attacking fixtures, and Almiron is been playing really really well. I like him more than I like Bruno Guimaraes, and I think that's where I am. Trent is also a slightly risky option considering this week, but I think he's gonna get into the team and he's gonna start more games. And I just feel you're just possibly going, getting ahead of the curve maybe by 1 week, and then and getting him in your team. And if he starts, there could be a haul this week as well. What's your route back to Trent, or you would want him back at all? So I have a wild card available. So for me, it's not difficult because I will be pressing the wildcard button. I haven't done that. I've missed the feeling of playing the wildcard this season. I mean, this is possibly the latest I've played my wildcard in any FPL season. Uh, so I'll be playing the wildcard next week. I'll be pressing that wildcard button soon, and then it kind of becomes very easy. I can easily, if I had to kind of, go towards a Trent, I would. I think I do have the exact money from a James to Trent as well. Assuming the Trent is still 7.4. So James is 6. That's okay. Yeah, 27.2. So I have enough money. If I just had to do a regular move as well, I could have easily done a James to a Trent. But in this scenario, I mean, the conversation becomes a lot easier because I have the wild card available, and James will be going out and Trent will be coming in. Of course, there'll be a lot of chopping and changing as well. I really want to get rid of Bailey as well. I mean, this is the Leon Bailey of game week 1 that I still have in my team, and then it kind of surprises me that I still have a Leon Bailey. Of course, he's kind of bailed me out in a couple of situations. I lost out on points with him as well when I benched him, but yeah, really looking forward to playing that wild card now. My team is Sanchez, Dyer, Dunk, Trent, Bowen, Bailey, Mount Barnes, Haaland, Wilson. Your subs are Cancelo, Jesus, Martinelli, whom to buy for the game week. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You have 9 players. I can read 9 players. And there's a lot of text here, but correct me if I'm wrong. I can see 9 players. Yeah, 9 players playing. I'll keep Cancelo. I'll keep Martinelli. I mean, Gabriel Jesus to somebody else is an option because again, you won't have enough money invested in Jesus. I mean, he's 8 million right now, and I'm not sure how much you bought him for, but you won't lose out on a lot. So Gabriel Jesus to somebody. Again, depends on your budget and depends on how much money you have. Depends on where you want to go. I have gone for Darwin Nunes. There's an option to go for Firmino as well. You already have Wilson. Otherwise, he was a good switch. You can even downgrade a Jesus to a Mitrovic as well. That's also an option. That gives you a player this week. Plus, you can get a player for the next couple of weeks as well. He's also, I mean, I'm not sure whether you're going to captain him or not, but he's a great alternative captaincy option as well. But rest of the team, I think it looks fine. And I would definitely want to hold Cancelo and Martinelli. Martinelli, especially because I'm assuming you will have enough money invested in Martinelli. Do you think Wilson outscores Perisic Solanke rotation by 4 points until the World Cup? Play Perisic every week except Solanke when Perisic plays Liverpool. I mean, I generally, I'm, I mean, I'm still not very sold on the idea of Perisic. I know not a lot of people will like me for that comment, but I mean that's what I feel. That's what it is, and I know the threat that Wilson can provide. I know that he is pivotal to that Newcastle attack. He's their striker after all, and I generally think. I mean, see, if he gets injured this game week, of course the conversation changes, and I can't predict injuries. I'm not somebody who can predict injuries. I don't think so. Anyone can. But I think if Wilson is fit, I'm expecting some rotation from for Wilson as well, considering that there is the short turnaround time. But I still believe that Wilson can easily outscore the. So I think I generally feel that Perisic, I mean, still not sold on the idea of Perisic. There could be rotation. Spurs aren't really keeping clean sheets in every game, so he's not gonna give you like. I mean, that's what my assumption is at the moment, and I generally think Wilson, in spite of the rotation, in spite of the risk with injury and all that stuff, I think he outscores the Perisic Solanke combination. Trossard or Mount in this week, again, depends on your plan. If it's a short term 1 week punt, you go Trossard. If you're looking at a long term option, out of the two, Mount is definitely a lot better. This week, Mount may get rotated, might be next week as well. But yeah, it depends on what direction or what, for how long do you want this player. 10 players playing, zero point 0.7 million in the bank. I mean, yeah, in that case, just to Gabriel Jesus to to a Mitrovic. I think it's quite safe. Sets you up well as well for the upcoming game weeks. I've made two free transfers with a -4. KDB to Salah, Madison to Trossard, and really want Firmino. Should I make Wilson to? I mean, again, depend. Taking a hit for Wilson is not bad. If it's a 1 week punt, don't do it. If you really believe that Firmino, I mean, you're gonna keep Firmino for the next 3 or 4 games, and you maybe want to go ahead of the curve, get ahead of the curve. I mean, it's a risk because I mean, out of both the options, I still expect Wilson to play more minutes than Firmino. I might be totally wrong here, considering that there could be rotation with Wilson. I mean, we can get him injured in some way or the other. Uh, in a normal situation, I won't do this move for a hit. I think Wilson is a perfect hold. But again, if you want to go a bit risky, I mean, you go in that direction. I personally think it's absolutely fine to stick with Wilson. I have Wilson and Darwin. Who should I go for the third forward using free hit, unlimited money? A lot of people are going with Kane, but I just don't like the idea of Kane. I mean, Wilson, Darwin, safer is you go Mitrovic. Otherwise, you could just go Firmino. I mean, you go Wilson, Darwin, and Firmino. I'm not sure whether you're going to play this option or not. But I mean, if you have the likes of Darwin and Firmino both, I mean, definitely one of them is going to click, right? So might be a weird strategy for a lot of people, but might just work out at the end. Otherwise, if you just want to go safe, Mitrovic is absolutely fine this week. I still like Mitrovic more than I like Kane, considering the fixture that Kane has. I understand Kane is scoring and all of that stuff, but yeah, I mean, I'll so you can't get Firmino. I'm assuming that then you have two Liverpool options along with Darwin Nunes. Then it's Mitrovic. I mean, then it's clearly Mitrovic. Mitrovic or Oba, I can't trust the Chelsea team right now. I mean, not because they're playing bad or anything. It's just that there's a lot of rotation in there, and just because of the fact that you can't get towards the Firmino, I think Mitrovic is absolutely fine. Darwin or Firmino or Tony depends on again what's the strategy here in terms of whether this is a long term pick or a short term option. If you are looking at a slightly long term option, I think Tony is good and is safe. If you're looking at a long term option but you want to take a bit of a punt, then you go Firmino. Darwin Nunes is purely, right now, to be very honest, I think it's a shot in the dark. We've not seen enough from Darwin Nunes, so we don't even know what's going to happen with him. We've seen signs, we've seen that he's getting chances, we've seen that he's missing chances as well. Now, whether he starts ahead of Firmino, together with Firmino, I think a couple of games will give us an idea. But I mean, he's possibly the biggest risk out of all these three options. And personally, I would possibly just go Tony. I'm going for Darwin because it's more like a 1 week punt and it's not like a long term replacement. But things can change after this week. Let's see. Yeah, I'll still go Tony. Any good replacement option for James? 1 week punt, playing my wildcard next week. Again, if you're looking at James, depends on how much money you have. If you have enough money, maybe get towards a Liverpool defender. Get towards a Robertson, get towards a Trent. 1 week punt, I think it's fine. You don't have to carry them, uh, on your wildcard. You can of course decide to take them out on the wildcard. If you're looking at, if you're not convinced by Liverpool, maybe you can't get towards a Liverpool option, then you maybe downgrade to a James. Why am I saying James? You're taking out James. You maybe downgrade to a Dunk or a Guehi. I mean, yes, then they aren't really very exciting options. Maybe a Brighton defender maybe becomes a little bit more exciting because of the fact that they are playing against Forest, so they can maybe get you clean sheets plus an attacking return. But yeah, I think for a 1 week punt, you maybe go towards a Dunk or a Guehi, if not a Liverpool defender. Thoughts on De Bruyne to Salah? Thoughts on De Bruyne to Salah, Madison. De Bruyne to Salah, Madison to Trossard, and James to Guehi. I think De Bruyne to Salah is absolutely fine. Madison Trossard is again, some. I think it's a straightforward move. James to Guehi again. I mean, all safe options, all good options. You're making decent moves, and you're getting players who have good fixtures and have an opportunity to get you good hauls this week as well. So yeah, I think it's pretty good. Techno Spirit Gaming, thank you so much for enjoying the content. Thank you so much for being a part of the Insanely journey. A big shout out to you. Duncan Mount in for James and Madison. Duncan Mount in for James and Madison. Good or not? I mean, Dunk for James is good. If it's a long term move, then understand what will you do with the Man City fixture. If you can afford to bench him, I mean, it's okay. If not, then maybe you go towards somebody else. Mount for Madison again, slightly risky this week, but it's okay. Long term, I think it should be okay. Ward or Pope, which one to start? I'll still start Pope against Everton. I mean, though Leicester is against Leeds, not very sure of a clean sheet there, but in my case, the other option was Raya against Chelsea, and I generally feel that Chelsea can score. But out of these two options, Ward or Pope, I'll start. I'll definitely start Pope. So Dunk to James, or James to Dunk, kind of depends on what is your plan when Dunk has a Man City fixture. If you can afford to bench him, you go for him. Madison again, Madison to Mount as well. I mean, if you can get towards a Foden or a Saka, maybe you go towards that. I still prefer that combination more. I mean, one of those players more than going for Mount. But if you can't, then I think you can absolutely go for Mount. Yeah. Um, you'll switch Dunk to Saliba. Yeah, then that's absolutely fine. Then I mean, in that case, I think it's okay. Guys, make sure you've hit the like button on the stream. You've subscribed to the Insanely Football YouTube channel as well. If you're new around here, if you're joining us for the first time, we do this every week. We've been doing content for quite some time now, and I hope you've been enjoying the content so far. I've just screwed up. You activated your free hit and accidentally spending 30 points on transfers. Will I get them for free like I would have done? And will my team go back to the way it was? I'm assuming you. So I'm assuming you activated the free hit. So you spend 30 points on the transfers. That's okay. And then you activate the free hit. I think yeah, I think you should be getting back your yeah, I don't think so. You will have your points deducted. I don't think so. I mean, it definitely works on the wild card, but I think with the free hit as well, I think it should be the case. I'm not. Yeah, because if you're activating the free hit, I don't think so. It should be a problem. Yeah. Captain Whom, Trossard, Kane, Mitrovic, Trippier. I mean, safest is Mitrovic. I mean, Mitrovic is slightly safer than Trossard for sure. But yeah, I mean, X vibes and X. I mean, if you're looking to captain a player who has potential and who's also an exciting option, I think Trossard is the one to go for. If not, if you can't, if you don't have the heart to go towards a Trossard, I think Mitrovic is the option. I mean, a lot of people will say Kane, but I just feel Kane doesn't have the best of fixtures. I mean, I'm a United fan, and there's no bias at all there. Absolutely not. I just feel United is not going to be that straightforward. Um, so yeah, I won't go Trippier. I mean, out of all these options, I'll go Trossard. Why not? It's a week to take chances, take some, I mean, yeah, for pushing your rank, why not Trossard? Castagna or Dunk? I mean, Castagna, if you look at the next two block of fixtures, Castagna has better fixtures. If you're just looking at a 1 week punt, maybe you want a wild card next week. I'm not sure on that, but it depends on your plan. If it's just 1 week, maybe go Dunk. If it's slightly long term, go Castagna. Agree about rotation, but the game week 14, Bournemouth away and game week 16 Leeds home may be enough for me to hold Perisic. The hit would be taken to accommodate Foden. I mean, yeah, if you are taking hits to accommodate a Foden and a Saka before Perisic, I mean, yeah, you can't sell before Bournemouth away, but I understand that, and that's an absolutely fair argument. But in my head, again, is it just be my head? I mean, it might not be others as well. But Bournemouth is not that straightforward a fixture. I mean, I'm not saying Bournemouth is suddenly a great team and they can defend out of their lives. But I mean, yeah, Bournemouth, they aren't really conceding 5-6 goals every game now. So yeah, but yeah, I get the point of getting in a Foden or a Saka, which is I think absolutely fine. I forgot to in the first place and spend the points and forgot to activate it. So now if I transfer a player out and activate the hit, count for the whole team and go back to last week's. Mm, I mean, once you see, if you spend if you make your transfers, of course you forgot to hit the the free hit button. Sorry. Um, I think it should be okay. I think you should be fine. I don't think so. There'll be a problem. Once you hit the free hit button, I think your hits should be restored. Yeah, definitely works with the wild card. I'm seeing this for the first time in terms of a free hit, but I think it should work the same way. And your team will go back as it was in Game Week 11. Darwin or Firmino who will get more game time. I mean, over the next few weeks, I feel Firmino. This week or this game week, it might be Darwin with more minutes. Might be Firmino as well. I mean, I don't know. I'll be lying to you if I say that I have a clear answer for it. Slightly long term, let's say over the next 2-3 fixtures, when there is enough gap between games, I still feel Firmino gets more minutes. But Darwin will. I mean, it also depends on the performances that he can give, right? I mean, if he starts this week and if he does really, really well, then he might push a case for him to to get a start, etc. And that could absolutely happen because we've seen that he will get chances or he's gotten chances in games. Yes, that red card was absolutely silly, and the conversation would have been very, very different if that red card wouldn't have happened. But yeah, I mean, slightly long term, I still feel Firmino is the more safer option who will get probably more game time. Thank you so much, Tom. Do let me know. You can just reach out to me on Instagram as well. The handle is insanely football. Uh, if there is anything else that I can help you with, or just let me know what or how that goes out for you. Kane Bowen to Salah Nunes for a -8. Kane Bowen to Salah Nunes. Risky, considering that it's Nunes, and Kane is a much safer option at the moment. So yeah, if you want to attack, if you're okay with the risk, considering the fact that Nunes, because Kane will definitely start, he'll definitely expected to get more minutes. So yeah, but because of the fact that there is Salah in there, I mean it kind of balances out, right? Because if you talk about Kane to Salah, I think that move is absolutely fine. I generally feel that Salah is gonna outscore Kane in the next few weeks, and Nunes. I mean, I don't mind that to be very honest. -8. If you plan to hold Nunes for long term, maybe for the next 2-3 weeks, I think it's fine. Uh, but yeah, if it's just a 1 week punt, don't do it. Don't do it for a hit. Don't do it for a -8. I have Haaland, Cancelo, and Foden all on the bench. Don't have the balls to transfer them out because of the price. I mean, Foden, you won't have really lost a lot with Foden, right? Foden is 8.3. I'm assuming you would have bought him for somewhere between 8 to 8.3, uh, 8 to 8.1 or 2, maybe not 3. So yeah, I mean Foden, I understand, but yeah, because of the potential, that is fine. That is fair. But yeah, I mean, taking out Haaland and Cancelo, considering that you've invested so much money, you've held them for so long. They've been really, really good as well. They're still good FPL picks. And yeah, I just don't feel it's worth. I mean, if you had if you add Martinelli to this list, I think that will make the trio on the bench without Foden. But I think if you have Haaland, Cancelo, and Martinelli, it's okay to even play with 9 or 10 players. I mean, absolutely not worth it to take them out and then get back again, because you will want them back as soon as possible, if not the next week itself. I mean, yeah. So you have Martinelli too. So yeah, I mean, yeah. So that's what it is. But it's fine. I mean, see, I understand the temptation for a lot of people to get to 11 players, have the best team possible. I mean, you might have 11 players, but they might still end up blanking, and you might still end up with a very bad score. That can absolutely happen. That's the most FPL thing to happen at the end of the day. But I think, yeah, I mean, we just have to temper the expectation, take this week as it comes, and just prepare for the next coming weeks, because that is when you can actually gain a lot. Don't you think Barnes is a great option? Has scored 4 in 4 against Leeds. I mean, he's a great option this week, absolutely. Considering that Madison is missing, I think he's a great pick to go for. Now, whether he stays as a great option, considering that Madison is the focal point of the Leicester attack. Plus, they have somebody like a Daka, for example, who's playing in. Uh, I don't think so. Barnes is the best option in that scenario, and I'm assuming Madison will be back next week for game week 13. So yeah, if it's a 1 week punt, Barnes this week is a great option. Why not? You have 10 players. You have Martinelli to Bailey or Mount. Thoughts? Any other mids like McAllister or Pascal Gross? I mean, yeah, I still feel, I mean, Trossard is the one to go for. If you're looking at Brighton options, I think Trossard is still the better option to go for. Of course, if it's for a 1 week punt. If you're looking at long term options, then you have to decide whether you want to prioritize, or you can get towards a Foden or a Saka, because if you can't, then again there's another decision to make, because then you probably have to select a different player, maybe a Zaha, maybe a Mount. I mean, there are options that it depends on which direction you want to go towards, and what is your plan for a Man City or an Arsenal midfielder. Because I still feel, if you're looking at long term or slightly long term picture, I still feel both of them are still better option, and if you can afford to get both in somehow, I mean, that's the most ideal scenario to be in. Going with 10, don't think. I mean, yeah, I don't think so. There any standout. See, and that's one of the reasons I don't like the idea of a free hit as well. I mean, unless you have maybe 3 or 4 players, and you can't even get to 7 or 8 players with multiple hits. Maybe that's the only situation or scenario where you possibly play a free hit. But I just don't see the upside with any defenders this week as well. I mean, I would have loved to get onto a Trent, for example, but again, we are not sure about his minutes. I mean, Robertson could also get benched. There is Simikas in there as well. I mean, the short turnaround time, it just makes things very difficult. The fixture itself is not that easy. It's West Ham, and they might lose the clean sheet. The other fixtures aren't really that great, if you ask me. And of course, we've lost James as well. So yeah, going with 10 is, I think, absolutely fine. You already have Trossard, Zaha, and Pereira. You cannot bring in Salah, so either Bailey, Mount, Eze, or a Brighton mid. I mean, Mount definitely looks like he might have limited minutes this week, or it could be next week as well. I mean, don't get surprised if he plays majority this week and maybe gets benched for the next week fixture, which is again not ideal. But I mean, you kind of take that risk when you go with the Mount, because with Potter, what I've seen, yes, Mount is the only player who started every game, but then that also kind of makes him risky for the upcoming fixtures, because he can get rested, right? So if you look at it from that aspect, I think there is a rest coming in for Mount as well. But yeah, I mean, it could be this week or next week, one of these 2 weeks for sure. Still don't like the idea of Bailey, because I mean, Mount and Bailey not in the same price point, different style of players, different potential, different. I mean, playing for very very different teams. So either you make your bet with a Trossard, and then you possibly shift him to a different option. Uh, so you already have Trossard. Sorry, my bad. I didn't read that. I still won't go for Brighton mids. I mean, just take a chance with Mount. I mean, with Mount and with some additional money, you can easily get to a Foden or a Saka. But you're saying Bailey now, so you can bring in Salah next week against Forest. I mean, if you can manage that with whatever money you have, or I mean whatever uh, plan you have, I think it's fine. I mean, Bailey just for 1 week against Fulham is not the worst option. But yeah, I mean, I don't know that if this was a long term pick or not. But yeah, I mean, if it's Bailey to Salah next week, I think it's fine. I mean, yes, it feels like it's an additional transfer that you're making, but I think it's fine. Guys, about an hour, 15 minutes to go. Please make sure that you add whatever questions you want to ask. If you have anything to share, with all of us, please feel free to do that as well. Just looking at some information in terms of whether we have anything at all in terms of a leaked lineup or anything. I know it's still a long time to go. We might get something closer to the deadline, but I'll just quickly have a look. I can't see anything in terms of any leaks or anything. But yeah, I'll keep you guys posted in terms of if we have anything at all. 3 p.m. is advisable for Game Week 13. You have Salah, Kane, and Haaland. I mean that's fine. I would really be interested to see the rest of your squad because I think I mean there will be some sacrifices that you'll probably have to make considering that you are going three premiums or three premiums. So yeah, I think, but yeah, Kane, Haaland, and Salah, I think they're fine. Of course, Kane is the informed pick. Might not have the best fixtures, but yeah, I mean, still a good option. Haaland is Haaland. We've already seen his potential, and Salah, he could come really really good. But yeah, I mean, there is that tempering of the expectation here. Captain Trippier for fun, please. I mean, I'm not gonna captain Trippier for sure. In terms of captaincy, I like to go a little bit safer. I mean, I don't like to go for very out of the blue punts, and I mean Trippier is that out of the blue punt for me. I still feel they're better options, and I personally like to captain an attacker, with higher goal scoring potential, higher attacking potential. Having said that, Trippier, I mean, there is no way that you can't say that Trippier doesn't have any attacking potential. But yeah, I mean, going with a Trippier, considering that he's a defender and he can lose his clean sheet. I mean, any defender can lose clean sheets at any point of time, right? So it yeah, not for me. What if Salah blanks again and scores again in UCL? I mean, let's see what happens there. But I mean, depends, right? Could absolutely happen. But if there's a slight change in structure in terms of Liverpool, if Salah's playing more centrally, uh, maybe as a number nine, maybe as a withdrawn number nine, maybe just behind the striker. I would be still a little bit more confident in Salah getting a haul or Salah getting a return. But yeah, I mean, what you're saying can absolutely happen where Salah just blanks and he might just end up scoring in the Champions League. I mean, that's one of the most FPL things to happen, right? And that could absolutely happen. For me, I would like a delicious hat trick by Trossard. I mean, yeah, uh, and there is potential in Trossard as well, right? But again, if he plays in that wingback sort of a role, considering that we've got information that Lanana might start, that may or may not happen still. That may just be certain games being played in the press and all that stuff. But I think Trossard definitely has the potential. What's my total score? My total score right now 667 is my total score. Rank is 124k, 124,000. Hoping to get into 100k this week. Might be a bit tricky. It totally depends on the Darwin pick, right? I mean, if he comes good, I mean, there are high chances of because I have the basics covered. I have Salah. I have Salah as captaincy, so that's gonna be. It might not give me the right or a huge amount of rank gain, but I mean that the basics are covered there. Mount is one player that could spoil our rank this week. Bowen is another option if he goes big. I mean, he could also be a tricky player to kind of navigate this week. Rest, I think. I mean, we're still in a decent position. Of course, we don't have Mitrovic as well, and Mitrovic against Villa, and that could be a bit tricky. 663, you're at 156k. I mean, yeah, ranks this early still don't really matter that much. I mean, they do end up having some significance right now because of course if you have a rank of 4 or 5 million at the moment, you will find it a bit difficult to kind of gain ranks as you kind of move on, unless you really go on a rampage and you start scoring massive green arrows every week. But yeah, 4 points can cause you. I mean, that's how the ranks are, against each other at the moment. Right? They're very, very close, very compact. So a huge haul might just. That's what happened with me last week as well, right? The first fixture against Brentford, but I think Tony got a double-digit haul. Raya got maybe 8 or 9 points, something like that, and my rank jumped from 180k to 30k. That was a rank, 150k, right? Of course, I was just one game played and one fixture played. Of course, there was a lot of games left in the week, but that's still just to show you guys in terms of what is the difference in terms of the ranks at the moment. I mean, you could absolutely gain crazy if you just get onto the right players, captain the right options, and we all like to see live rank, right? I mean, yeah, we do, right? I mean, it kind of disturbs as well. Last season, it did affect me a lot, where I was constantly checking my live ranks after every goal, after every move, whenever there was a goal scored in any of the other games as well where I didn't have a player. I used to check my rank, get upset in terms of losing these many ranks, etc. Because last season I was in the top 25k for the entire season, and I think the best rank that we achieved last season was about 5k at one point of time, and the last I think few game weeks it went just absolutely downhill, and I got a bit desperate in terms of getting towards that 10k haul a 10k rank, and it didn't happen, of course. But yeah, I mean, this season I'm trying to not look at my rank, every moment. I'm trying to enjoy the games more. But yeah, I think it's been working fine so far. Best Reece James replacement for up to 6.9 million. I mean, if you're okay taking a bit of a risk, Robertson is one option that you can look at. If you are looking at a slightly long-term option again, I mean, I would have loved to go for a Chelsea defender, but it's very difficult considering the fact that there is a lot of rotation that will happen at Chelsea. So, I mean, going for a long term option, you might get certain games where that option, maybe a Cucurella or a Chilwell gets benched, but I mean, you can still end up getting 90 minutes, etc. If you just want a safe option, I think having a Crystal Palace player at least for the next 3 4 weeks, even get till game week 17, 16. I mean, 17 is of course after the World Cup, but till 16, Guehi is absolutely fine. Uh, I would even say Robertson, but again, there could be some rotation with Robertson as well. So if you want to save some money, looking at a long term option, I think Guehi to me stands out apart from the Liverpool options. Of course, you can look at Man City as well, but I mean, of course, they're blanking, so you won't look for a replacement this week. I still don't trust the Tottenham defense too much. I mean, there is a conversation to go for a Doherty, to go for a Perisic, but I like the idea of maybe if I'm taking a bit of a risk with these kind of picks. Of course, it's a different price bracket, but I might just end up going for a Liverpool option instead. I think, and I know that Trent would have been the preferred option, but with not enough money, I think Robertson is also it's a punt. But yeah, I mean, long term, I think he might be okay. My live rank shot up after the 6-3 game after Haaland, and I mean, yeah, that was a massive game. And I think KDB didn't score a lot in that game. I'm forgetting how much or what haul did KDB get, because I have had KDB for all this while. But yeah, I think that would have been a massive, massive jump. Who do captain if you don't own Salah, Trossard? I have Neko Williams too. I won't go Neko Williams. Excuse me. I definitely won't go Neko Williams as captaincy. And even if you have a Neko Williams in your team, I don't think so. It should really affect your Trossard captaincy. To be honest, I mean, if you don't have Salah, you go Trossard. If you don't want to go Trossard, I mean, you look at other options like a Mitrovic, or a Mount, or a Zaha. I mean, there are different options you can go for, but yeah, I mean, Trossard is still stands out in my opinion. I have Kane and Mitrovic, whom to captain, looking to go for Mitrovic. I think Mitrovic is fine. I mean, Pereira, I still feel Mitrovic is better considering the output, but I understand the differential. Why would you want to go for a differential? But if I'm targeting a Fulham player, I would still target a Mitrovic. Mitrovic, when he's playing, he gets all those chances. He's on penalties. He will be the focal point in the Fulham attack. Pereira is good, but he's definitely gonna always support a Mitrovic, right? And that's why the haul for a Mitrovic is still a lot more. So ultimately, if you're looking at net points, you're gaining a lot more with the Mitrovic. I understand the percentages and the ownership, etc., might be very, very different, but I still feel if I'm looking at a differential captain, because Mitrovic is also going to be a differential option. I don't think so. He's going to be that that heavily captained this week. I think so. Mitrovic is fine. Replace Madison for Rodrigo or Sinistera. If I'm going for one option out of the two, I'll probably look at Sinistera at the moment. I mean, Rodrigo is okay. He's done okay in the past as well. But yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at a punt, both are punts. Let's be honest, both are punts at the end of the day. And if I'm looking at punts, I think you know, yeah, I think Sinistera is fine. Techno Spirit, can we donate? I mean, you can send us a super chat if you want to support the channel. I mean, there will be a currency, there'll be a dollar icon. If you want to show love and support to the channel, of course, you can send us or send me a super chat. Always, appreciate your love and support. So you can do that if you want. I'll be going to see you soon. Of course, thank you so much for joining. I hope you had a lovely time. I had a lovely time chatting with you. Do subscribe to the channel so you have updates around the upcoming content. Of course, there'll be streams as well in the future, so we can always catch up on stream. You can always reach out to me on Instagram as well or on Twitter as well. You can send a DM to me and we can always have a chat. I always do try to reply to as many DMs as I can, and I think I've been doing a fair job so far. So I always be available for a chat. Thank you so much, guys. Anyways, I hope I've been able to help you guys. And yeah, still 1 hour to go. We have a lot of time. In case if you have any more questions, please feel free to you know add that or just message in the chat. Did KDB to Salah and Madison to Trossard? Might do Trossard to Foden next week to cover the City attack. Fair enough. Looks good. I mean, looks like a straightforward move. It isn't a straightforward move, but I think it's looking fine. KDB to Salah gives you that good, I mean, route to Salah. Trossard to Foden, of course. Trossard is great as a 1 week punt. Might still not work, by the way, right? I mean, we might just see a freak result and might just see Nottingham Forest keeping a clean sheet. I mean, of course, I'll be massively surprised if that happened. But yeah, I mean, let's see. Thank you so much, Techno Spirit, for appreciating and supporting the channel. Really, really appreciate your support. Still looking at some Brighton news if we can get something. I mean, let's quickly see. Yeah, I mean, can't see anything, but yeah, we'll just keep checking any information that we get. Are you gonna get Trent back if he starts today? How have you planned it? I have a wild card remaining. One of the, I mean, possibly in a lucky situation at the moment. I mean, that was always the plan. To be very, very honest, the plan was to always, use the free transfers to go towards a Madison, to go towards a Zaha. I've been able to do that. I've been able to gain some decent rank as well, doing all of that stuff. And then when I reach game week 12, the idea was always to punt on a Liverpool attacker. The idea was always to go towards a Salah. I would have loved to go towards a Trent this week, but just because of the fact that Trent, got injured, and I mean there is a chance that he starts this one and he plays well. If he does, then it's good eye test for next week, right? And on a wildcard, I don't think so. It's going to be very difficult. I have 1.4 million in the bank. If I want to I wanted to do a straight transfer, I would have just done James to Trent before the kind of price drop happened for James. But considering the fact that I will be switching and chopping and changing a lot of the other options, of course I'm not going to change Haaland and Cancelo. James is definitely going to go out, and rest we'll see. I mean, I still have to see how can I accommodate. I possibly will go towards a Martinelli instead of a Zaha. Uh, and then I have to see how can I get to a Foden or a Saka, because if there's an option between a Zaha, Foden, or a Saka, I'll definitely would want to get towards a Foden, assuming the fact that I'm keeping Salah in my team. So I think let's see. The wildcard will definitely help me in changing a few picks, move around some options, and I can get towards a trend without taking any hits and all that stuff. So I think that's gonna help. Madison by Barnes. Not sure what that means, but I'm assuming you're saying that Madison to Barnes. I think it's okay this week. Uh, Next week when Madison returns, I'm not too sure about that transfer because Madison's still the standout option. He's still the focal point in the Leicester attack. And when Madison's playing, I mean, he will be on free kicks. He will be on set pieces. He is the main man in attack for Leicester at the moment. A lot is gonna revolve around him, and because of that fact, I mean, the longevity of Barnes as an option is a bit of an unknown for me at least, and that's why I prefer Madison. And if you're changing Madison, maybe go towards a Trossard, maybe go towards a different option, and not go to Barnes if that was the question. Yeah. One hour to go, guys. I hope you've made your transfers. I hope you've made your moves. I hope you've at least got some idea in terms of what you're doing in terms of captaincy. And yeah, I think I'm definitely sticking on Salah, not changing, not chopping. I don't think so. There's enough to go towards a Trossard sector if you already have a Salah in place. I think it's fine to go Salah still. Let's just see. And I'm really hoping for a Darwin masterclass. Because I think he's the trump card this week, at least in my team. And I think it'll be interesting to see because I was reading a stat that in the top 100K or something, on an average, players only have about 7 players playing in this week without taking any hits. I think that's the average number of players that people have in their teams for this week. Now, if we expand the rank, maybe it gets a little bit higher. I don't think so. It's going to be very, very different. So I think it's going to be interesting. I have already seen a lot of people taking -8s, -12s, a lot of hits to get to a set of playing 11, especially when you don't have a wild card. I've seen some wildcards also flying this week. That's very interesting because it's not the ideal scenario to be in. A lot of people would want to use their wildcard in Game Week 13, which was the ideal option. And I still feel that saving the free hit for a later stage is still a lot better, considering the fact that there will be a lot of blank game weeks, a lot of double game weeks as well coming, and we will have more information, more concrete and confirmed information, and there's not enough upside for a free hit. I mean, the fixes are okay, nothing is really standing out. If Man City had a much easier game or something like that, maybe the conversation was different. But yeah, I mean, not enough upside for a free hit. Guaita, Neko, Dyer, Justin Trippier, Pereira, Bowen. Who's your vice captain? Salah is your captain. Zaha, Mitrovic, Greenwood. You have the bench as Ward, Cancelo, Haaland, Martinelli. You have 2 free transfers left. Any thoughts? 2.2 million in the bank. Something that really jumps out is maybe you can change a Greenwood. Greenwood is 4.4 ish. I mean, let's just quickly see how much he is. 4.3, right? So 4.3 and then 2.2 again will be 6.5. 6.5 won't get you to. I mean, you can go towards a Solanke, but again, I'm not sure what you feel about Solanke, whether you really want him for long term, or otherwise just keep. So there is definitely one transfer that you can make. You can maybe even uh, save one. I mean, in a blank game week where people are struggling, saving a transfer just feels a bit weird. Daka, Welbeck, Solanke are options. I mean, not really convinced with Daka, to be very honest. Welbeck could be an interesting one. I think Welbeck is an interesting one, considering the fact that the fixture this week is really good. Now, what is your plan with Welbeck is also something that you will possibly have to think, because you won't want him to play him in the Man City fixture. So you can easily probably bench him and play other options. But yeah, I mean, out of all these 3 options, I think Welbeck is the one to kind of go for. Solanke is okay. I mean, if you're looking at a slightly long-term option, I still prefer Solanke over a Welbeck. Welbeck, if it was a short-term plan, a 1 week plan, and then you maybe plan to move on from a Welbeck to somebody else, maybe invest a bit more money by downgrading some of your other picks. I don't know what you have in mind. But if you're looking at a long-term option, I think Solanke provides you that flexibility to play him in this week. I mean, against West Ham, Tottenham, also you can play him. Not the ideal set of fixtures, but then again, it's Leeds and Everton in 15-16. I think those are really good fixtures. So I think long term, definitely Solanke. A short term punt, I would probably say Welbeck. Rashford to Saka from game week 14. I mean, yeah, worth making because Saka has looked really good. Arsenal have looked great in attack. Saka is getting more and more involved. He's having more of the ball. He is, getting into promising situations. He is getting attacking returns now as well. And yeah, I mean, he's looked in great form. 3 goals in the last 2 games, two against Liverpool and one against Leeds. I mean, looks like the player right now and looks very exciting. He's also differential. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from Rashford when we talk about the differential aspect of it. But I mean, yeah, still not very convinced with Rashford. I mean, he can absolutely fly in the next few weeks. But I think having Saka looks like the right play and looks like the right move to go for. Rashford will be better than Saka from game week 14. I mean, sorry, I still feel Saka is the better option. I mean, I would still say he's more nailed. With Rashford, you have a chance of reduced minutes, and if I'm looking at Saka's positioning and the position where Saka plays in Rashford in that number 9 role, because I'm assuming Rashford will probably end up playing in that number 9 role. I still believe and I still feel that I mean, if you're looking at Saka's fixture, yes, there is a blank this week, but then it's Southampton and Forest in 13 and 14. I mean, even against Chelsea, he can absolutely smash it. And then there's Wolves, West Ham. I agree, slightly trickier fixture, but again, he has the potential to do well in both those fixtures as well. Now, when we look at Man United's fixtures, let's just quickly look at the United fixtures. So there's Tottenham, there's Chelsea, and then West Ham, Villa, Fulham. I understand the appeal, especially from 14 to 16, and I definitely understand the appeal there. But yeah, I mean, if Saka is absolutely smashing it, would you really want to take him out and go for a slightly riskier option in Rashford, who's been hot and cold? I mean, yes, if he would have scored that chance against Newcastle in the dying minutes of the last game, I mean, maybe the conversation was slightly different, and I understand that bias absolutely because I'm a United fan, right? And I understand that, but yeah, I mean, you're not wrong in assuming or having that thought of maybe Rashford outscoring Saka. By the looks of it, doesn't look like that's going to happen, but I mean, we could be absolutely wrong, and Rashford could absolutely do well. Fixes are definitely there, absolutely, but Saka's just the better player, playing for a better attack at the moment. Will Sufal play? Will be better if I bring Guehi for Sufal. Looks like Sufal should play. I mean, not much of a difference between both. Crystal Palace may be a slightly better defense at the moment. Definitely has better fixtures than Sufal. So if you have nothing else to do, if you just want to take this, make this transfer and it's fine. You're not taking any hits etc. for it. I mean, I think it's fine. You can do that. Otherwise, holding Sufal this week is okay. Anderson Aguehi, not much to choose from. Anderson looks like he provides a little bit more attacking threat, especially from set pieces. But I don't think so. It's a lot. Or it's hugely different. If you can afford, then maybe just go Anderson. But yeah, I mean it's not much of a difference. Thoughts on James to Robertson, Van Dijk, or Dunk? Dunk is great if you're looking at a 1 week punt, and if you have a plan to bench him or just go without him in that Man City fixture. I think it's absolutely fine. Otherwise, I really like the idea of having Robertson. I feel that he's still a much better option than a Van Dijk. Though Van Dijk, I understand the appeal of a Van Dijk because you might think that, or not just you, the general consensus might be that Van Dijk is a much more nailed option than Robertson, and that might be the case as well. But I just feel with Robertson having that attacking upside, with at least that opportunity to give you attacking returns, which maybe a Van Dijk might not give you enough. Considering the fact that he's playing as a centre back and the main threat is probably going to be from set pieces, I still feel Robertson is probably worth the risk. What striker to bring in from Tony, Solanke, and Wilson for long term, or are there any others? If you're looking at a long term option, and if you're going very cheap, I think Solanke is fine. I mean, all three are good options in their own rights. Wilson, I'm the only concern with Wilson is that there could be some rotation, but Newcastle don't really have a lot of options because Isak is injured. And that's why I like Wilson. But again, it is a con as well. And then I think the potential with the Wilson, I think it's slightly more than and something like a Solanke, for example. But yeah, I mean, if you're okay navigating the Chelsea fixture, I think Tony is still the safest option to go for. Yes, you will still have that game week 16 fixture against Man City, and you will have to make a plan for that. So if you're okay with the Chelsea fixture and the Man City fixture in 16, maybe you want, or maybe you will end up transferring him out by that point of time. I think it's fine. Tony is the most safest option to go for. If you want to save some money, maybe use this money and try to make this as a habit and as a practice as well. Try to get in Solanke in your team. I mean, don't make the transfer, just get him in your team. Just go to the transfer page and try to do this and see how much money you have left. See what are the moves that you want to make with that money. If you're able to make substantial gains and substantial changes which really make your overall team, the overall structure, the overall composition of your team a lot better, then you definitely go Solanke, and then you kind of make that switch. If not, then I think depends on if whether you want to go safer with the Tony or slightly go a bit attacking and differential, and then go for a Wilson. I think that's the approach that you should probably take. Should I captain Nunes? Very risky. Possibly won't do it. I mean, if you don't have a Liverpool player and if you really want to captain a Liverpool player, then it's a different conversation. But captaining a Darwin Nunes is risky. You might end up getting 25 points as well, because he might just end up getting a couple of goals against even a West Ham defense. But it's too risky. I mean, not for me for sure. But again, if you just want to play for the heck of it or just have some fun with the move, maybe take a chance. I mean, I'm trying to convince myself in the head, but it's just not coming for me. So not for me for sure. About 45 minutes to go, guys. Please make sure that don't leave it till the very end. This is a blank game week. I think a lot more people might tune in this time around. The website or the app is known to have crashed before as well. So just don't leave it till the very late. Just make sure that you have some idea by now in terms of your transfers, in terms of your captaincy, and try to make it a little bit earlier than maybe your usual time. 11 players for a hit of -8. And is Marshall going to play? Had Marshall already? Let's just quickly check. I haven't checked around anything around Marshall. Just give me a second. I'll just quickly check if we can get something around Marshall. So Anthony Marshall is not available. That's what Ten Hag is confirmed. Yeah, he won't be available. So I think if Ten Hag has mentioned it, I don't think so. It's going to change. So I think you will have Martial not playing this week. 11 players for a hit of -8. It depends on what players you're getting, whether you're captaining a certain player that you're getting in these hits, whether these hits are for a long time. I mean, there are a lot of elements involved in this. It's just not a very, I'm sorry to say, but it's just not a very simple yes or a no. It depends on whether these are 1 week punts. If not, if you have the wild card, because if it's a 1 week punt and if you have somebody like a Trossard, maybe a hit is not justifiable. But it depends. It really depends on a lot of situations, and first of all, it depends on the players that you're getting in. Had Martial before the -8, so again, who are you getting in place of Martial? I think that probably will help me a little bit in terms of answering that question for you. But yeah, I mean, if we just don't look at anything, just a macro level thought, and just looking at this question in isolation, -8 in a blank game week where a lot of people are already taking at least -4s, -8s, the average number of hits are going to be a lot higher than the usual game weeks. And I think, going by that logic, I think it should be fine. But then again, it depends on which kind of players you're taking hits for. Pope, Trippier, Neko Williams, Perisic, James, Madison, Bailey, Zaha, KDB, Tony, Mitrovic, you benching Haaland, Cancelo, Martinelli, one free transfer, zero point 0.2 million in the bank. Any transfers you recommend? So you have a double up on the Newcastle in the Newcastle defense. Neko is fine, Perisic is fine, James, so that's basically one player less. Madison as well, so that's basically 9 players. I mean, you can go. It depends on what you want to do with Madison and the transfer later. I mean, if you can get towards Madison is how much? We'll quickly check that as well. Has to be around 7.98, something like that. 8.2. So Madison's 8.2. So and he's expected to drop for sure. I mean, you can take a 1 week punt on a Trossard, then move to you have a free transfer, so you can make that free transfer and move to somebody like a Trossard, for example. Then you can make the switch back to Foden or a Saka. I mean, that's the approach there. In case if you're okay playing with 9 players this week and you want to take out James next week without taking a hit, you can do that as well. But yeah, I mean, you'll still be left with options like a Guehi or a slightly cheaper option, like let's say like a Castagna, for example. Maybe you can go for an Arsenal defender as well, because I don't see any Arsenal defenders in here, and you have an Arsenal spot available as well. So it depends. I mean, I can easily take a switch or do a switch to a Trossard this week and then move on to a uh, you know uh, to a Foden, and I think you. I mean, really depends on the price falls as well, right? And the price rises as well, because you might still be locked out of that move, considering that you only have zero point 0.2 million in the bank. But yeah, that's probably the only move that I'll probably make. Otherwise, if you just want to get some money in and make the James transfer this week itself, maybe get towards a Guehi or something like that. Have enough money so that you are not locked out of the Madison to a Foden or a Saka move. KDB to Jesus, Gabriel Jesus, and Salah and Firmino for a -4. Okay, so KDB to Salah and Jesus to Firmino for -4 and wildcard next week. I mean, absolutely do it. Why not? Give it a shot. Firmino could be just a 1 week punt, and I mean, if you're absolutely fine taking the risk, go for it. -4 is okay. A lot of people are taking hits this week, and I don't think so. You'll be in a bad position. Already used two free transfers. Should I take a hit to get in Doherty out and get in a Brighton? I mean, not necessary. Doherty might not start or might not end up playing 90 minutes, but it's fine. I know it's United. There might not be a clean sheet, or it might just be a dull nil-nil sort of a game. Anything can happen. But I don't think so. There's enough upside with the Brighton or Chelsea defender, considering that there is rotation with Chelsea defense and the fact that Brighton have tougher fixtures, slightly trickier fixtures in the next 2 games after this week. So I don't think so. Hit is worth it. Do I take a 1 week punt on Kane for Haaland? Depends on how much money you have invested in Haaland. I personally don't think so. It's worth it, because Kane. It's not that Kane has the most standout fixture. If I had to take a punt, I'll probably take it on a different option or a different player. But I don't think so. It's worth it. But yeah, if you have nothing else to do and you're okay getting in Haaland back again next week, I still don't feel it's worth making that transfer, rather than just save that transfer and use it next week. Took a -8 for Salah and Trossard. I mean, yeah, that's okay. And if you're captaining Salah, I think a -8 is absolutely fine, not a problem. Thoughts on Nunes on a free hit? I like him on a free hit. The fact that you probably just have him for a week and you might not have to live with that horror of him not starting or him blanking or anything like that happening, I think it's absolutely fine. On a free hit, I think I'll definitely go for a Nunes for sure. For me to start or not, I can't say that with surety. I personally feel, and that's a lot of my gut feel. I think, with considering the fact that the Game Week 12 fixture is too soon, there might be a chance that Firmino might get rested and Nunes gets a start. Considering that Nunes also didn't start the last game, I know the City and all of the other elements etc. were there as well, but I mean, there are chances of Firmino benching, and if one happens, I think it could be this week. -12 or a free hit. I mean, I would still not do a -12. The maximum I would take hits for this week is -8. Again, it depends on which players you're getting. Free hit is something that I'm okay playing with 8, 9 players as well. I mean, it doesn't look like a week which has very high upside. I mean, I don't think so. It's going to be a very high scoring game week as well. And I'll just possibly keep my free hit for a later time. I mean, there are confirmed blank and double game weeks coming later in the season, and I think you should absolutely save your free hit for that. I've got 3 players that are not playing. Should I use my free hit? Absolutely not. 3 players are absolutely fine. Or should I save it for later? Save it for later. Captain Kane or Trippier, currently on Kane, but Newcastle have an easier fixture. Out of the two, definitely Newcastle. I mean, worth going for a Newcastle option. I mean, Kane, great form, has been scoring, definitely gone under the radar. United, I mean, I'm still a firm believer of United's defense being okay, in spite of the fact that we were absolutely shit against Man City. I still believe that it could be a very, very close game. And I'm not very bullish on Kane's chances. I know a lot of people are. I know a lot of people are even thinking of captaining him, getting him, captaining him for hits and all of that stuff. But I just feel it'll probably be a close game. And I think if the option is between these two, I think I will. I mean, I'm not still very comfortable with Trippier because if Trippier, I mean, the attacking return is not a guaranteed return, right? Yes, it's Everton, but Everton might just end up shutting shop at the end of the day, and Newcastle might find it difficult to break down that Everton defense. And I mean, we've seen that Everton can score, and Newcastle can concede. So with that clean sheet gone, it becomes very tricky. But yeah, out of the two options, Trippier, don't like both, to be very honest. Top three midfield options below 5 million. Below 5 million. That's an interesting price point because there aren't a lot of options in that price point. I mean, of course, you have Pereira, you have Almiron. Almiron is 5.2. My bad. Um, I mean, I don't really like any options apart from Pereira. I don't think so. There, yeah. I mean, I want to go towards that price range, but yeah. I mean, Bailey is okay maybe for this week, next week against Brentford, but I mean, yeah, not really shouting a lot of options in that price point. Nunes, Sterling, Trossard, and Trippier captain. I mean, if the conversation is between all these options, I still feel Trossard is probably the best option to go for. Nunes is too risky. Trippier, I've already mentioned. I won't go. Yeah, and Sterling is. I mean, last game he played as a right. Was he a left wing back or? I mean, he played as a wing back role. I remember, and I mean, yeah, Sterling is again. I won't go Sterling. United defense with Varane and Mart. I mean, it's again. Is it the best defense in the league? I'm not sure. It's a good defense. I'm sure of that. It's definitely a lot better than what we had with a Lindelof and a Maguire, or a Varane or a Maguire, or a Varane or a Lindelof. I think this is the best combination in terms of centre backs that we and Man United has at the moment. And yeah, I mean, it still could be very, very good. Yes, the Man City game was maybe a one-off. I think we will get some more idea, as and when fixtures keep progressing. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely one of the better defenses or the better centre back combinations out there. Madison to Barnes or Almiron for a -4. Madison, I mean, I don't like the idea of Barnes next week because Madison will be back, and I still believe the focal point of that Leicester attack is Madison. He's on set pieces, he's on free kicks. He is the main man in that Leicester attack, and having Barnes, I mean, it's ideal for this week, maybe not for next week. So I'll probably just look at Almiron as a punt. But yeah, I mean, if you're okay saving this move as well, and you can maybe afford to just play with 10 players, or maybe just you have somebody on your bench, which I don't know if that's the case or not, and you can still save that transfer as well, depending on how much money you have. You don't have to have 11 players this week. Also think about what you're going to do next week and the week after. Again, I mean, there are multiple layers to it, right? Let's say if you have the wild card available, maybe go for Almiron, because again, on the wild card next week, maybe you can easily get a good team in play with the likes of Foden, Saka coming in very easily. If not, then at least think about those options, because yes, you might get 11 players this week, but then you would at least want to have some long term planning in play as well, because they are the good options or the better options to kind of look at when we are talking about the next 2 or 3 fixtures. Gray versus Billing versus Tavernier. I mean, I I mean, I don't like all, but if you have to go for one, maybe go Billing. I think Billing is still probably the better or the best option out of the three. Start Guaita or Ward. I think Guaita, because just because the fact that Wolves aren't really a high scoring team. I mean, I was reading, I think yesterday only, they've scored 4 goals or something in this season, which is a very, very astonishing stat considering that we are 9 to 10 games down this season. Um, I mean, yeah, they've scored 4 goals. I mean, I would definitely take a chance on a Guaita. Zaha or Rashford. I think this week it's Zaha. Um, yeah, I won't. I still prefer Zaha because the fact that he's on penalties, because the fact that he's the main man in that Palace's attack, and I think he generally make that team stick. So yeah, I would still say Zaha. Your wild card because is Allison, Guehi, Trippier, Dunk, Trent, Zaha, Salah, Gross, Pereira, Tony Mitrovic. Bench is Haaland, Cancelo, Martinelli, Ward. What would you change? I mean, Allison is somebody again. It's worth debating whether I can get similar value with the Kepa, for example, and that also kind of gives me a third Liverpool spot open where I have options either to go for somebody in attack. I just feel that is a more higher upside move because considering the fact that you already have a Trent, I think it's enough cover in defense, and I can maybe utilize that spot maybe to if I really have to go for a defender. I know it's a different price point and it's a much higher price point. I mean, double up with a Trent and a Robertson. It feels a bit weird, but I mean, there's a conversation to be had there. Or else just open that spot for a Firmino or a Darwin Nunes. I mean, that's definitely an option there as well. That's the only thing I'll change. I'll probably save that money and go for a Kepa. I still feel Kepa is good for the coming weeks. Pascal Gross again. I mean, if I'm taking Pascal Gross, I know it's again a different price point, but Trossard is the better pick here. Um, and Dunk again. I mean, you should be okay considering the fact that you have Trent, Trippier as well, and then you have a Cancelo as well. So I think you can easily bench Dunk, so that should not be a problem. But I think, yeah, Pascal Gross is something that I would change, and maybe Allison is another player. Rest I think is okay. Robertson, Trent, and Salah triple Liverpool free hit, no risk, no fun. I mean, absolutely, why not, right? If you are on a on a free hit, why not take a chance and triple up on a Liverpool team where not a lot of people. I mean, that's probably the biggest advantage that you will be getting out of a free hit team this week, right? Where you can easily get to a Trent and a Robertson and a Salah, where a lot of people would still struggle to even get to 9, 10, 11 players. So yeah, Nunes or Firmino. Darwin's such a clown, can't finish for 1v1. I mean, yes, he can't. Yes, there's a lot to learn for Darwin Nunes. I mean, he will get chances. That's what we've seen, and he definitely provides something to Liverpool which they haven't had in a long time. And he could be a lethal weapon in a lot of games with slight change in structure, slight change in the way Liverpool is approaching attack. And I still feel he has potential, and he will definitely get better with time. But yeah, he has to mature a lot in terms of how he's been and what he's gotten to the club so far. Zaha's not got goal scoring threat. I mean, I don't agree with that, to be very honest, and I don't agree. I think Zaha has good goal scoring threat. Zaha is also on penalties, and that really helps. Rashford, yes. I mean, we've seen Rashford scoring by making those runs, and especially those run in behind the defense. Uh, Whether that continues, how much of that continues, whether Rashford is playing out wide, how many minutes is he getting? I mean, with Zaha, I'm at least confident that he's nailed. With Rashford, I'm not. I mean, Rashford is also kind of hot and cold. And I mean, he's not a bad option, but I mean, if I compare him with Zaha, I think Zaha has got more avenues to points, and he's more critical and crucial to that United to the Palace attack than Rashford being to United at the moment. He gets plenty of chances, but he can't utilize it right now. I mean, absolutely agree. He gets a lot of chances, and he can't right now. But that's not to say that he can't do that in the future as well. A lot can change, a lot can evolve. He can become a much better player. I mean, only time will tell, of course. But he's just exciting, right? I mean, you you get to see a lot of different things with the Darwin Nunes. Of course, it can be. I'm a United fan and I'm not a Liverpool fan, so I'm not as frustrated as maybe a lot of the other Liverpool fans would be. But yeah, I mean, it's just for a neutral. I think he's an exciting player to watch. That's about it. Glory, glory, Man United. Absolutely, absolutely. Hoping that we have a good game this week. I mean, it was a very frustrating game against Newcastle. I mean, it's been a frustrating season still. I mean, we've had our highs as well against that Liverpool team, against a couple of other teams as well. We've had some really good games. But yeah, that Man City game was a nine opener, and I think it kind of got the expectations also a bit to the ground level because a lot of people started considering Man United suddenly as something that could. I mean, I've heard conversations of people where people were talking about United challenging for the title and all that stuff. Of course, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Nothing of that sort is going to happen this season. But yeah, I mean, slow progress is what I wanted to see, and of course, it started with the Liverpool game. It's still not been ideal at all. But yeah, I mean, it's a long term project and a long term process, and I generally believe, I really, really hope and I believe that the United board and the United owners, they see that, and his fate is not as what has been the case with the other managers that have come and gone in the past, and I really, really don't want that to happen, because I believe in the project, I believe in him, and we just have to be patient. I mean, let's see. Dunk or Castagna? 1 week punt is Dunk. Slightly long term option with an optionality to bench him and play him for the easier games. I think it's Castagna. Uh, the next two for Castagna is okay. I mean, you can play him against Leeds and Wolves as well. Man City is something, or a fixture where you have to think about what your other team is, and how can you utilize Castagna, because I think you'll have to bench him in that game, because it could be a massive scoreline for Man City. Then Everton again, you can play him. West Ham again, trickier fixture. But then again, you just have to have him for that amount of time. So I think it's okay. I think Castagna is fine. I mean, he's looked a lot more attacking. He's been in promising positions. He is a bonus points monster as well. So I think Castagna is good. Anthony's good. I mean, yeah, Anthony's been one of the rare. I mean, I can't say rare, because I mean we've still been a lot better than last season. But I mean, he's been really, really good to watch. The way he started the season and the way he started his first game was absolutely crazy. I mean, I really want him to do well, and there are shades and signs of that happening. So yeah, let's see. Still being very, very. I mean, not being out, totally flying high and all of that stuff. Still being a little bit pessimistic, but I mean, let's see. Just trying to temper the expectations with United, because we've seen that in the past happening, in terms of whenever a new manager comes in, whenever a new set of players comes in, and I think the expectation kind of goes to the roof, and I want to temper that. Do you also hate Arsenal? I don't hate Arsenal. I mean, hate is a very, very strong word. To me, it's a very strong word, so I don't hate Arsenal. But of course, as a neutral fan, or as a neutral in terms of watching Arsenal play, of course, I don't like the idea of them progressing in terms of how they've progressed, and the kind of time that Arteta has gotten as a manager. Of course, he was one of the few managers, or one of the managers who, from the top clubs, who was under a lot of pressure, but the board kind of stood with him, believed in that long term project, and we've seen results right now. So I mean, I hate him. I hate Arsenal for that fact that I mean, we have not been into that situation. Of course, you can say that we've not had the right personnel, we've not had the right set of managers and all that stuff. But yeah, I hate the idea of them playing so well. I still It's still a far fetched idea, and at least in my head right now, sitting here, at the 11th or the 12th game of the season, seeing them as title contenders, I still feel it's still a far fetched idea. But yeah, I mean, hate the fact that they've been playing so well, but I don't hate Arsenal as a club as such. Would you bring in Trossard for Madison and use the second transfer, preventing me from bringing in Foden next week? Um, I mean, I even if I want to do the Trossard move, I would want to get in Foden. But if it's preventing you, then just save that transfer and do the Madison to Foden move directly. Would you do Bailey to Trossard for a hit? Do you think Bailey will start? I think he should start, but again, we've seen that in the past as well. I mean, he's prone to benchings, and that could absolutely happen. Trossard again, if it's just a 1 week punt, Bailey to Trossard doesn't make sense, because I think you will still get some points with Bailey. If you plan to keep Trossard for long term, then it's fine. I hate City, but I want my City assets to score. I mean, that's the conflict that you have in FPL, right? You have City players, you have Liverpool players, you have Arsenal players. I've seen teams and I've seen managers and I've seen people, let's say a Liverpool fan not getting any Everton players in their teams, right? A United fan not getting any City players in their team. I know, if you look at FPL in isolation, that's absolutely the wrong way to play FPL. But everybody has their own biases, everybody has their own way of playing the game, etc. And there's no right or wrong way to play it, right? But yeah, that's the conflict that you generally have. I mean, you don't want Man City to do well, but from an FPL point of view, you want the players to do well because you are having that player. Maybe you've gone for a punt, you've gone for a differential. Maybe you have that captaincy on a Haaland or somebody else, right? And you want that to give you a lot of points. So that's the conflict that I think you will always have when we talk about uh, supporting a club and then kind of managing your FPL expectations. What if I only needed one for this week only? Which one should it be, Dunk or Castagna, in your opinion? If it's for 1 week only, then I think Dunk is fine. Um, I mean, see, the point is that Leeds are also not a great team in terms of defense. I mean, they've slightly looked better for sure. That's my observation, but I mean, they can still concede. But Forest are a different gravy when it comes to conceding goals, right? Uh, so yeah, I think if it's just for 1 week, I think it's fine. You can absolutely go for Dunk. Madison James to Trossard and Guehi, or Trossard to Trent. I like the idea of Trossard to Trent. Definitely a lot. Definitely feels a lot more attacking, considering the fact that you are kind of comparing Guehi to Trent. Of course, different price points, different comparison. Maybe not a fair one too, but Trent is just a lot better when it comes to attacking threat, right? And I think there could be some clean sheets coming Liverpool's way as well. I am a United fan and I don't put any. I mean, that's what, right? You can't see any United players in my team, or they haven't been in my team for a very, very long time, and that's fine. I'm just with the fact that if I'm playing FPL, I have a certain way of playing, and I don't want to get any biases or any, fan biases or club biases when I'm playing FPL, and when I'm seriously playing the game. If I'm just playing for the heck of it, and if I just want to see my team doing, I've seen that as well, right? Uh, and my players, my team, or the club that I support, those kind of players doing well, and I want to try them out in the FPL space, etc. That's also fine, but yeah, considering the fact that I'm eyeing certain ranks and I'm making these calculations, I'm probably creating content as well. Yeah, it's difficult to have that club bias. Guys, we have about 20 odd minutes to go. Let me just quickly check if we have any other information. Don't think we have any more information around. Yeah, any leaks or any information around Brighton? I don't see anything. Let's see. Yeah, I can't see anything at all. Guys, please feel free to hit like on the stream if you've enjoyed the stream so far today. Subscribe to the Insanely Football YouTube channel, guys, for more FPL content, for week on week FPL content. You can also check out our Instagram page, and I also write blogs for all about FPL as well. Do check them out as well. I think they're a great blogging site, and if you are into reading content, if you are into reading blogs and all that stuff, they've been doing a phenomenal job of of putting out free content, and it's not paid content, it's absolutely free. So do check that out as well. Guys, we'll stick around for a couple of maybe about 5 or 10 more minutes. I just want to check everything at the end, and not keep it till very last. We'll probably stick about for about 5 or 10 minutes. There is enough time for the deadline. It's about 20 minutes, but I'll probably stick around for about 10 more minutes. Start Cucurella or Dyer. Dyer's more nailed, so you get that optional, or you get that benefit of a more nailed player with a Dyer, but it's against Man United, and that's where I probably start Cucurella. Considering the fact that I know that there is risk involved with the Cucurella, I still believe that he is the better fixture, and also the fact that he played 45 minutes in the last game, right? That just gives me more confidence that he might start this game, and the fact that Chilwell played 90, and so there is a possibility, a tiny possibility, that he can also play in that left wing back position where the attacking threat is going to be a lot higher as compared to when he plays in that left center back role. So yeah, I'll still start Cucurella. Do you think Leicester can keep a clean sheet? I mean, I'm hoping that they will keep a clean sheet because I have Ward in my team. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Leeds are a good attack. They're still a decent attack. They were very unlucky not to score against Arsenal. But yeah, I mean, it looks tricky. But considering that I had Raya in my team, I still believe that maybe Leicester has a slightly higher chance of keeping a clean sheet than Brentford keeping a clean sheet against Chelsea. But yeah, I mean, in isolation, I don't think so. They will keep a clean sheet. Trossard, Firmino, or Kane, who's the captain? Safest is, I can't believe I'm calling safest as Trossard, but I mean, decent potential. I think a fair amount of people will captain Trossard as well. If you want to captain a premium option, you go Kane. Otherwise, you go Trossard. Firmino is a bit risky considering the fact that he might not start the game or he might not play 90 minutes, so you might not be able to get the maximum out of Firmino. And that's the idea. I also don't, and that's because that reason I also don't like the idea of captaining a Darwin Nunes, for example. So I think that's where I am in terms of captaincy. If only one of these three options, I'll captain Trossard. Great, guys. A couple of more minutes. Let me know if you have any more questions. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining. I hope you've had a good time. I hope I was able to answer your questions, help you in terms of your any transfer decisions, any moves that you want to make, maybe captaincy as well. And I really hope I'll see you guys next time as well. I think it's going to be very, very exciting. All the best for the game week. I hope you have a great game week. Let's just hope it's an exciting game week just because of the fact that Arsenal Man City is not happening. Let's just hope that it's a good week. We get huge scores. Should I start Cucurella, Cody, or Castagna? Out of the three, I'll still start Cucurella in spite of the risk. Diaz and Jota both injured. Firmino should be starting. That's the expectation. Now, whether it's Firmino starting with Nunes or Firmino starting in place of Nunes, I think that's where the debate is. Darwin or Firmino, difficult to call one. I'm expecting Firmino to get rested or maybe come from the bench, considering the fact that the turnaround time is very less. And that's why I've gone for Nunes, but not much to choose from, to be very honest. Cool, guys. Thank you so much again for joining. All the best for game week 12. I hope I see you guys in game week 13 as well. Do look out for the content, in the rest of the week. Of course, if you guys are on a wildcard, we'll be doing a separate wildcard video. We'll also be doing other stuff in terms of players to buy and sell, best captaincy options, and all that stuff. There'll be enough content for you guys on Instagram as well. So if you've not checked our Instagram page, please feel free to do that as well. But yeah, do subscribe to the Insanely Football YouTube channel because that way you'll have enough idea in terms of whenever we are coming up with new stuff. Madison to Bowen for a hit. Madison to Bowen. I mean, there are better options to go for. I'll possibly look at. I mean, if I'm taking a hit, I would want that hit to be for a Foden or a Saka. So maybe not for a hit, especially not this week considering it's Liverpool. Nunes spawned so many good chances. I mean, yeah. One idea is basically him Klopp not starting him, but Klopp is known to back players when they are at their lows and when they are struggling, right? So I don't think so. I don't think so. He's not going to get minutes. He's definitely going to get minutes, and I think he just provides something very different to that Liverpool attack, and he gets a lot of chances. I know he's been wasting a lot of chances, but I think he still will be an important part of that Liverpool attack in the coming games. After West Ham, what do you think? Paqueta to Trossard. I mean, I would still make that move irrespective whether it's a 1 week move or not. Paqueta, not really convinced by him to be very honest. Reed for Fulham will start. I mean, just put him in your team if you have him in your team. Just put him in your team. Of course, I'm assuming it's not a transfer, and I think he should. Let's just quickly check though. I mean, he played 45 minutes. Is there an injury which I am not aware of? We'll just quickly check that. I think he should be okay. Haven't really read anything. He was substitute in halftime, but I'm not seeing any. Yeah, I understand that he's on 4 yellows and he was only played for 45 minutes, but I think he should be okay. He's an important player in that Fulham team, so I think he should be okay. Sinistera medium term hold or Trossard 1 week punt taking a hit. I mean, depends on which direction you want to go, right? Both directions are okay. Trossard for a 1 week punt. I mean, a hit is okay, but I still like the idea of keeping Sinistera for a slightly long term option as a long term option and also playing him this week. I think that to me sounds a lot better. I have 10 players in need of mid, and I have Madison, Zaha, Trossard, Pereira. What's your recommendation for Madison for a hit? Or only 10 players? I mean, depends on the money that you have. If you're okay with 10 players, I think it's fine. If you have enough money to go towards a Foden or a Saka next week, I still like that idea a lot more. Considering the fact that you already have a Trossard, I'm okay playing with 10. If you don't have enough money, again, I don't know if you have a Martinelli or not. I would still possibly just make play with 10 players. I mean, I'm okay playing with 10 players, not a problem. Made my decision. Here it is. Ward, Trippier, Shar, Trent, Pascal Gross, Trossard, Pereira, Son, Gordon, Watkins, Welbeck. Yeah, I mean, Welbeck is interesting. Let's just hope that he does well. Could be a very interesting punt against Forest. I mean, could be a. Let's just see what happens against Forest and the matches, of course, in some time. So we will have an idea before tomorrow. But yeah, let's just hope that our expectations are met, considering the fact that we've been so bullish and so heavy on Brighton assets against a Forest team. Let's just hope that we don't get any surprises, because there are chances of getting those surprises. Absolutely. Trossard captain going with the punt, 3 players from Brighton. Yeah, may the force be with you, and I and I really hope for your sake that Brighton do well. Otherwise it's gonna be a tough. I mean, you'll definitely lose some sleep tonight. Great guys, thank you so much again. I think we'll call it a night here. All the best for Game Week 12. I hope you have a great week, and I will see you guys very very soon. Do join us for the next stream as well, and hit like, hit subscribe. Stay tuned. There's a lot more coming up, and I'll see you guys very very soon. Bye bye.